Severe winter in Nepal's southern plains threatens livelihoods, food security and vulnerable communities. Nepal's political parties now have a week to submit proportional representation candidate list for March 5 elections. World Meditation Day focuses on inner calm and balanced living. Nepal hosts side event at the UN. South Africa launches manhunt after deadly tavern shooting leaves 9 dead, 10 injured. UN chief urges restraint in Bangladesh following death of youth protest leader ahead of elections. And Mbappe matches Ronaldo's 59 goal feat in a calendar year for Real Madrid. Good evening, I'm Bijata Bhandari and this is NTV World Primetime News coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Across the globe it's 1:15 p.m. in London, 10:15 in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. Now the news in detail. The onset of winter is taking a growing toll on daily life access across the Nepal southern plains. A cold wave accompanied by dense fog has disrupted transport, livelihoods and basic survival, hitting the poorest communities the hardest. Temperatures across the Tarai have dropped sharply. In districts including Mahottari and much of the central and eastern plains, thick fog has blanketed towns and highways since early morning, with cold winds intensifying the chill. Life has become especially difficult in impoverished settlements. Communities such as Musahar, Dom and Halkhor, among Nepal's most marginalized groups, have been affected the most. With limited access to firewood or heating, open fires, locally known as khur, remain the only source of warmth for many families. Residents say the lack of basic resources is making it increasingly hard to endure the winter, particularly for those who rely on daily wages to survive. Livestock and winter crops are also at risk, raising concerns about food security and income. In markets across the Tarai, reduced movement has slowed business activity, with traders reporting a noticeable decline in sales. Political parties in Nepal now have 1 week remaining to submit their closed list of candidates under the proportional representation system for the House of Representatives election. Ahead of the deadline, minor adjustments have been made to the inclusive representation percentages. The proportional election process for the House polls scheduled for 5th of March began in December. During the application period, 100 political parties applied to take part in the proportional system. According to a presidential ordinance issued last Friday, parties must now submit the candidate list in line with the inclusive quotas based on the 2021 national census. The Election Commission has set January 27 and 28 as the dates for submitting proportional representation candidate lists. Now, ahead of the House of Representatives election scheduled for 5th of March, the District Administration Office in Dolakha has classified 45 polling stations as highly sensitive. Out of the total 94 polling stations in the district, 45 have been placed under the highly sensitive category, 34 as sensitive and 15 as normal. Meanwhile, 1 additional polling station has been added in Sailung Rural Municipality. The election office says the new polling station has been established at Kuntha Primary School in Ward Number 1, in line with a decision made by the Election Commission. Prime Minister Sushila Karki has emphasized the importance of preserving Nepal's traditional culture and heritage, while gradually ending harmful practices rooted in culture. During a meeting with a delegation from the Tamu Hyola Chondhin Gurung National Council, the Prime Minister praised the Gurung community's traditional attire and said Nepal's indigenous dress and identity should not be forgotten. She also suggested that government employees could wear traditional attire at least one day a week. The delegation invited the Prime Minister to attend a special Tamu Losar program scheduled for January 15. Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs Minister Anil Kumar Sinha says the government has prioritized 121 bills to be tabled in the federal parliament within the current fiscal year. Speaking at a joint meeting of National Assembly committees in Singadarbar, Minister Sinha said that the government is serious about presenting the bills on time based on national policies, budget priorities, periodic plans and international commitments. He also said rules and guidelines under the Legislative Act 2024 will be prepared and published within a year. Committee members meanwhile urged the government not to delay legislation and to strengthen delegated lawmaking.
मन्त्रालयले तर्जुमा गर्नुपर्ने विधेयक पहिचान गरी विधेयकको प्राथमिकता क्रम खुलाई कानुन मन्त्रालयमा पठाइएका विधेयकहरू मध्ये सम्बन्धित मन्त्रालयसँगको छलफलका आधारमा आर्थिक वर्ष 82-83 मा संघीय संसद समक्ष पेश गरिने 121 वटा विधेयकहरूको प्राथमिकता निर्धारण गरी सोको सूची मिति 82-3-31 गते संघीय संसदमा पेश समेत गरिसकिएको अवस्था छ.
We will take a short break here. More news coming up. Welcome back. You're watching NTV World Primetime News. The number of Nepalis seeking labour approval for foreign employment continues to rise, underlining sustained pressure on the country's job market. The Department of Foreign Employment says more than 339,000 people obtained labour permits in the first 5 months of the current fiscal year, including over 41,000 women. In the previous fiscal year, the figure stood at 839,000, with more than 95,000 women. Nepal currently has labour agreements with 12 countries, while institutional employment is open in 104 countries, and individual workers are travelling to 175 destinations. Most Nepalis head to Gulf countries, Malaysia, Japan, and parts of Europe. Experts cite limited domestic job creation as a key factor behind the trend. The ambassador of China to Nepal, Chen Song, has paid farewell calls on top parliamentary leaders as he concludes his diplomatic tenure. Ambassador Song met Devraj Khimiri, a speaker at Singadarbar, where they discussed strengthening bilateral ties, economic cooperation and development partnerships. The speaker praised the ambassador's contributions and reaffirmed Nepal's commitment to One China principle. Ambassador Song also visited National Assembly Chairman Narayan Prasad Dahal, who called him a true friend of Nepal. Both sides highlighted preparations to celebrate the 70th anniversary of Nepal-China diplomatic relations next year. The ambassador expressed that China places high priority on Nepal and is ready to continue cooperation beyond his tenure. From relentless work schedules and digital overload to family responsibilities and social expectations, individuals today face constant stress. In this environment, meditation has emerged not only as a spiritual luxury, but as a practical and essential tool to strike a balance in life. Sabika Shrestha has this report.
Once viewed as an alternative discipline, meditation is now widely accepted for its role in helping people manage anxiety, burnout, and mental fatigue. Daily practice allows individuals to pause, step back from constant stimulation, and reconnect with their inner calm. By cultivating awareness of thoughts and emotions, meditation helps people respond to challenges with clarity rather than reactivity. Art of Living trainer Rupnaran Shrestha emphasizes meditation's grounding effect on everyday life.
जसरी हामीले डेन्टल हेल्थको लागि सधैँ हामीले ब्रस गर्छौं त्यसरी मेन्टल हेल्थको लागि चाहिँ हामीले रेगुलरली मेडिटेसन चाहिँ गर्न जरुरी छ। तीनवटा प्रिन्सिपल छ भन्नुहुन्छ, आई वान्ट नथिङ, आई डु नथिङ र आई एम नथिङ। जब यो भावमा हामी बस्छौं तब हाम्रो नर्भस सिस्टमबाट नै यसको चाहिँ इम्प्याक्ट गर्न थाल्छ। ठीक छ। जब मैले कति सेसनहरु लिइराको हुन्छु बच्चादेखि ठुलाहरुसम्म, उनीहरु फर्स्टमा को माइन्डसेट र जब मेडिटेसन गरिसकेपछिको माइन्डसेट यति धेरै अन्तर हुन्छ कि राइट। त्यही भएर धेरै नै फिजिकली, मेन्टली, इमोसनली र स्पिरिचुअलिटी यो चारवटै पाथमा चाहिँ धेरै नै अन्तर चाहिँ मेडिटेसनले चाहिँ दिन्छ।
The benefits extend beyond personal calm into family and professional spaces. Individuals who meditate regularly often report improved patience, better communication, and healthier relationships at home. In the workplace, meditation enhances concentration, decision-making, and productivity while reducing stress and emotional exhaustion. Schools also noticed visible changes in results after imposing meditation in their academic curriculum.
The person who start doing meditation, the level of their mind, their mindset is different than the normal individual. There were some students who were very weak in study, and after the meditation, I suggest them, I make them sit for a few classes, and then they transform themselves. That proves that it definitely changed something in their academics life as well. They boost their marks, not only marks, their performance differently. They start acting differently, and even few kids, they were like indisciplined kids, became much more disciplined kids.
From mental health perspective, meditation's impact on cognitive performance is visibly notable.
Basically, those who are being affected with mental health conditions, if they do practice meditation every day, this will surely help them in many ways. For example, it will help them to control their impulsive behavior, impulsive act. It will help them to disengage from negative thinking. And one more thing which is very crucial is it will help them to restructuring their cognitive distortion. It is directly influenced by the prefrontal cortex and amygdala, which regulates our mood. So mood and emotion. So it is very helpful and essential while practicing and providing counseling and psychotherapy.
As the urbanites grapple with rising mental health concerns, meditation is increasingly being integrated into their daily routines. In a world that rarely slows down, meditation offers a simple yet powerful anchor, supporting mental clarity, emotional stability, and a healthier balance between professional and personal life. As the world marks Meditation Day, it has become imperative for one and all to separate a few minutes every day for healthier mind and soul.
In a world full of chaos, it's very necessary to take a pause, and meditation helps us in bringing that stillness. Experts say meditation helps in boosting our calm mind, create balance and nurture our healthy lives. Sabika Shrestha with camera person Rasila Shrestha reporting for NTV World.
Meanwhile, Nepal hosted a special side event at the United Nations headquarters in New York to mark the second World Meditation Day. Titled Awakening the Mind, Pathways to Peace, Health and Harmony, the event was co-hosted by Nepal's UN mission and the Jeevan Vigyan Foundation on December 19. Representatives highlighted how meditation and the science of living, or Jeevan Vigyan, promote inner peace, emotional well-being and conscious leadership. The event, attended by UN officials and international delegates as part of the UN's official observance of the World Meditation Day, which Nepal helped establish through a resolution earlier this year. Moving on, an underpass is being constructed at Mulghat in Thankuta to transport heavy equipment for the under-construction Arun 3 hydropower project in Sangkhwa Sabha. Project officials say the existing bridge over the Tamor River cannot safely carry heavy loads, as its maximum capacity is only 70 tons. The project requires around 150 truckloads carrying equipment weighing up to 140 tons each. To address the risk, a 60-meter underpass is being built beneath the Koshi Highway section at Mulghat to ensure safe transportation of heavy machinery. Across Nepal's far western region, the Bhua festival comes alive each Push, celebrating the triumph of good over evil with vibrant dances, music and community gatherings. Originating in the mountainous districts, the festival unites communities while preserving centuries-old cultural traditions. Rojina Rai brings a report.
Across the hills of Nepal's far western region, the Bhua festival or Bhua Parva is celebrated with great enthusiasm. The festival is a joyous reminder of the triumph of good over evil. The streets of Kailali and Kanchanpur, along with the bustling towns of Thangari and Mahendranagar, come alive with the spirit of this age-old tradition. Falling on the lunar new moon day of the Nepali month of Pous, usually in December, the festival continues for nearly a week. The festivities unite communities in pride, joy, and shared cultural identity. While the elderly stress the cultural heritage, strengthens social bonds, promotes harmony within communities, the youths find it amusing to be a part of also.
त्यो एकता पनि हो कवाज खेलाइ हो यो आर्मीको कवाज खेलाइ भनेपछि अनुशासन पनि यानि हुनु एक्लै बुढो झाल्न पाइएन भयो तब एकताको लागि धर्मको लागि हाम्रो समाजको लागि ठूलो महत्त्व पुगेको छ यसले भाइचारा सद्भाव बढाउँदो छ.
Originating from the mountainous districts of Bajura, Bajhang and Acham, the festival gradually spread to the Tarai plains, carried by families who migrated southward. Men donned white robes and turbans, wielding swords and shields as they performed the Bhua dance, energetically reenacting heroic battle scenes with devotion. The rhythmic beat of the Panche Baja, a set of 5 traditional musical instruments, accompany these mesmerizing performances. In every step, every beat, and every cheer, the spirit of courage and tradition is vividly alive. Cultural experts note that the Bhua tradition commemorates the timeless tale of bravery and rightness of the Pandavas over the Kauravas in the epic Mahabharata. Consequently, the festival is primarily observed in areas historically believed to have been visited or marked by the Pandavas. Local residents say such cultural festivities foster unity, collective participation, while both local and provincial governments continue to support initiatives that preserve and promote Nepal's indigenous traditions.
International news coming up next. For now, a short break. South African police say a manhunt is underway after a shooting at a tavern left 9 people dead, 7 men and 2 women, and another 10 injured in a township in a gold mining area near Johannesburg. They say about 12 unidentified gunmen arrived in 2 vehicles in Bekkersdal, opened fire at tavern patrons and continued to shoot randomly as they fled the scene. The shooting happened at about 1 local time on Sunday. The police added that the tavern was licensed. South Africa has one of the highest murder rates in the world. 63 people were killed every day on average between April and September this year, according to police figures. Earlier this month, at least 11 people, including a child, were shot dead at a hostel near Pretoria. United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has called on all stakeholders in Bangladesh to exercise restraint, reduce tensions, and refrain from violence as the country moves towards parliamentary elections scheduled for February. Condemning the killing of youth protest leader Sharif Osman bin Hadi, the UN chief extended condolences to his family and urged Bangladeshi authorities to carry out a prompt, impartial investigation in line with the international human rights standards. UN spokesperson Stefan Dujarric conveyed the message during a regular briefing at UN headquarters on December 19. The appeal comes amid continuing unrest across the country following Hadi's death, which sparked nationwide protests and a spat of violent incidents. Meanwhile, the interim government has written to Meta seeking action against Facebook content that allegedly incites violence and aims to disrupt the electoral process. Amid the unrest, Bangladesh's 2 leading newspapers, the Daily Star and Prothom Alo, have resumed print and online operations after temporarily halting services following vandalism and arson attacks on their offices a day earlier. Amid high alert, security has been tightened outside the Bangladesh High Commission in New Delhi. The U.S. has seized an oil tanker that had recently departed from Venezuela, according to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. It is the second time this month that the U.S. has seized an oil-carrying ship off the country's coast. The move comes after U.S. President Donald Trump said on Tuesday that he was ordering a blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers entering and leaving Venezuela. Venezuela has condemned the latest U.S. seizure, describing it as theft and kidnapping. In recent weeks, the U.S. has been building up its military presence in the Caribbean Sea and has carried out deadly strikes on alleged Venezuelan drug smuggling boats, killing around 100 people. Venezuela has previously accused the U.S. of trying to steal its resources. Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has announced a review into the police and national intelligence agencies after the Bondi Beach attack in Sydney. The Prime Minister earlier said the intelligence review, due by April 2026, would focus on ensuring authorities were equipped to tackle extremism. The shooting, in which 15 people were killed after 2 gunmen opened fire at a Jewish festival, has been declared a terrorist incident. Police say the attackers were inspired by Islamic State ideology. A National Day of Reflection is being held today. A minute's silence was observed at 1847, the time when the attack began. The Australian government has also announced plans to tighten gun controls, while the New South Wales Premier is pushing to crack down on hate speech. More international news and sports update up next. A huge electricity outage hit U.S. state of San Francisco, leaving 130,000 residents without power for several hours at its peak, with the city's main provider saying all services would return overnight. A fire at the substation had caused the blackout, according to officials. Many traffic signals were out, leaving traffic police to manage intersections, and the self-driving ride-hailing service Waymo had paused operation of its vehicles. Parts of the city were blanketed in fog, and many businesses were forced to close for the day at the height of holiday shopping period, leaving normally bustling commercial areas quiet. As temperatures drop in the northern hemisphere, large flocks of swans have migrated from the colder north to Jinxian County of Nanchang City in warmer east China's Jiangxi province to tide over the winter. Each year, with the onset of cold weather, swans migrate thousands of kilometers from northern breeding grounds to southern wintering habitats. This year, thanks to the improved environment, over 10,000 swans have arrived in the vast stretches of wetlands in the county, according to the staff of the local forestry bureau. Local residents and wildlife observers have reported hundreds of swans gathering on rivers and lakes, creating a striking seasonal landscape. Environmental authorities say the growing number of migratory birds reflects successful wetland conservation efforts in Jiangxi province. Measures such as water quality management, habitat restoration, and restrictions on human disturbance have helped maintain a safe environment for wintering wildlife. Time now for sports update. England's baseball project is in tatters as yet another Ashes in Australia was lost in 3 tests. This is the 4th successive Ashes tour in which England have lost the first 3 tests. The tourists were defeated by 82 runs on the 5th day of the 3rd test in Adelaide to go 3-0 down and extend a winless run in this country to 18 matches. Australia were delayed by a 40-minute rain shower, England pair Jamie Smith and Will Jacks, and a hamstring injury to spinner Nathan Lyon. Instead, it has turned into the worst tour in recent times, leaving the futures of the captain Ben Stokes, head coach Brendan McCullum, and director of cricket Rob Key in doubt. By the time Australia visit the UK in 2027, it will be 12 years since England's most recent Ashes series win. French superstar Kylian Mbappe equaled Cristiano Ronaldo's record of 59 Real Madrid goals in a calendar year by scoring on Saturday against Sevilla in La Liga. Mbappe, on his 27th birthday, tucked home an 86-minute penalty to match Ronaldo's club record set in 2013 and sent his team 2-0 up at the Santiago Bernabeu. The striker won the European Golden Shoe and La Liga's top scorer award last season and leads the Spanish standings again in the current campaign with 18 strikes. Xabi Alonso's Real Madrid side have struggled this season, but Mbappe has been their key player, boasting 29 goals in 24 games across all competitions. Portugal international Ronaldo scored 450 goals in 438 matches for Real Madrid to become their all-time top goal scorer, with Mbappe now on 73 in 83 games. Before we wrap up, let's take a look into the headlines once again. Severe winter in Nepal's southern plains threatens livelihoods, food security, and vulnerable communities. Nepal's political parties now have a week to submit proportional representation candidate lists for March 5 elections. World Meditation Day focuses on inner calm and balanced living. Nepal hosts side event at the UN. South Africa launches manhunt after deadly tavern shooting leaves 9 dead, 10 injured. UN chief urges restraint in Bangladesh following death of youth protest leader ahead of elections. And Mbappe matches Ronaldo's 59 goal feat in a calendar year for Real Madrid. Well, that is all for NTV World Primetime News for now. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media and get the latest updates from our official website at nepaltelevision.com. This is Bijata Bhandari. Thank you for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu, public service broadcasting PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World, facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal. Telling stories that endure across centuries. Where culture breathes, stories bloom.
When the world moves, we make a sense of it. NTV World.
Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified.
Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands.
Reporting for public service broadcasting.
Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices, where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by. Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
pulsing in the beats of Khaijari. These tireless young feet will not stop until the next morning. As every dawn brings along a dusk, and a hello has to end in a farewell note, it was time for us to say goodbye to Ramkot. The beat of the Madal and Khaijari constantly tried to hold us back even until we reached the faraway trails. It was hard to say goodbye when our heart wanted to stay, but then we had to move on.
Welcome to Declassified Beyond the Brief. I am Devendra Subedi. Well, in this episode, we try to discuss contemporary political state of the country following the Gen Z movement. We will try to discuss the party dynamics in the days to come, political fluidity in the country, and also the opportunities it brings and the future that lies ahead of the country. Let's welcome Vishnu Sapkota, an academician and political analyst. Welcome to the show, Dr. Sapkota.
Thank you.
It would be good to start with your, let's say, assessment of the recent political changes that the country, which I prefer to call it unprecedented. How do you see it?
Thank you for inviting me. So I agree with the word unprecedented because this has been unprecedented. Nepal has, of course, seen a lot of political movements, but not of the like that we saw in September, popularly known as Gen Z protest. As we know, there have been multiple narratives in terms of how to define the Gen Z protest, what is it, and this is all political. So there are political forces who want to delegitimize it, who want to dismiss it as saying it was nothing, it was just like a fluke of 2 days. And there are many others, I think more sensible in my assessment, who are trying to understand the underlying meaning of what that is. So I think the Gen Z protest, to me, there were those who called for the protest, there were those who were martyrs, there were those who participated. So it's a variety of group, but I think on the whole, it was the Nepali society, largely, that was desperate for a change. So the message of the Gen Z protest, for me, or how it should be understood, is that whatever is going around has been done in the last 10 years or 20 years, it's not good. Things need to change. The political actors and the state of the state that has been there, it's not good. It needs to change. So it was just an explosion of that frustration that was brewing from many years. Normally when there is a protest or movement, there is an organized force and then, they have a political vision. But because Gen Z protest was spontaneous, and it was a spontaneous mix of people, mostly youth, of course they didn't think about, okay, they will topple the government, the prime minister will have to flee for his life, and then, the interim government and the dissolution of the parliament. They didn't envisage any of this. So that means they didn't have any political vision. So, and then everything that has happened was like what was possible to do, like the formation of the current government. I think it's now 100 days of the government out of the mandate of 180 days. And Sushila Karki was not prepared to be the prime minister, so it was thrust upon her. So in terms of how do we read the current political situation is what followed from the Gen Z protest, the political parties and forces, and within those parties, there are forces that think that election is the only way out, which I think is the most sensible way to go forward. And there are some who are hoping that elections will be postponed or derailed, and then, it's natural in any vibrant society, there are multiple forces. So it's a fluid. To summarize this, I think we're in a politically fluid and sensitive state. If we don't get to the election, as per the mandate of this government, if there is something untoward that takes place, I think also we are in a very volatile situation.
Rather than calling it unstable, fluid, can we call it a time of recalibration?
I think this is also an opportunity. Opportunity in the sense that, we are yet to see the outcome of the Gen Z protest. The interim government and the elections are only means. They are instruments to get to that outcome, to the process of that outcome. So if we don't get to a better state, then it would be a complete, disrespect.
Waste of even human life.
Yeah, life and disrespect.
Sacrifice.
Disrespect to the
martyrs.
Exactly. Disrespect to the spirit of the Gen Z protest. So I think we're in that state where a lot can happen. There is a big potential for change. We cannot be assured about the change, but there is a good space to get into that phase where things really change.
Earlier in your assessment said this was a spontaneous protest. How sure, given the incidents that happened on the next day of the protest or the popular uprising, we can say that it was really spontaneous and then there was no organized sort of planned things on the second day of the protest?
Of course, the second day was the violence, the destruction had shocked the society. I was shocked myself. I was not in the country that time, but it was shocking to observe what was going on. Nepali society, I think, is still struggling to process, to understand. Again, there are different theories and conspiracy theories in terms of what happened. So nobody was happy about, of course, the violence. But what is important is, when we look at the Gen Z protest, what is important is first to understand the meaning, the message of the first day, but also to have a proper investigation of those who committed all those crimes, the violence, on the second day. I think as a protest, the second day was a reaction. How it started was as a reaction, but everything that happened was not reaction. And then Gen Z protest leaders, those known leaders, they have said they were not there. So that means there were definitely other elements. So I think what's important is to bring them to justice. I really hope that the commission that has been formed under Justice Karki will come up with the proper, credible investigation and recommendation, and that the government will take action. This government and the future government, so that the Nepali society, for future, that there will be no impunity
in the society.
I think that's equally important.
As you said, 100 days gone, 80 days left. The mandate, March 5 election, almost there. How realistic is it?
It's an important question, and I'm taking a pause because I want to, of course, answer in an honest way. When it was announced, when the president gave this mandate of 6 months, I think that was the most sensible thing to do, 6 months, because historically in Nepal, whenever when a parliament is dissolved or the government announces new election, the 6 months time has been the standard historically. So from that point of view, and also because the parliament was dissolved, I think also from the spirit of constitution also, within 6 months. So that makes perfect sense. But again, it was not a normal time when the elections were announced for 6 months. With the political chaos and the shock in the society and the uncertainty and just following that unprecedented scale of violence, there was a lot of skepticism about whether elections will take place in March, in the first month of the government formation. In the first few days, there was more skepticism, but then it's going down. So when I look at it, today, I see more political buy-in for the election. The good thing is about the big parties in the dissolved parliament. Nepali Congress has officially and with clarity said that election is the only political way forward, and they're fully committed. That's good. Even the UML, the second largest party in the last parliament, and the other political parties. So, which is good. But again, I think what we should take into account is the fact that there are political forces who are not prepared. The old big political parties fear that they will not do well in the election.
Are they just buying time here under different pretexts, or they will try to do that?
They are trying to do that. So I would like to say two things. One is, realistically, if all major political forces come on board and think that, okay, instead of March 5th, okay, let's like postpone by a month, let's get to, a little warmer weather.
Will that be a disaster if that happens, or March 5 is something that we have to adhere to and have the election at any cost?
It won't be a disaster. But the government unilaterally, one is they don't have the mandate. It has to come through the president. But even the president and the government, they should not do it unilaterally. They should have the political parties on board, because in the political parties there are people who are pro-election. I mean, pro-election means per March. But if everybody comes on board and they think that it is more practical to postpone for a few weeks.
How hopeful are you, Dr. Sapura, about this?
I think they will get to that point, because
they will have to get to that point.
They will have to get to that point. I think sense will prevail. What I'm not suggesting is that they have to postpone. My point is, if they have to postpone, if there are some logistic aspects for the election commission, the political parties, they think there are other reasons, and if all of them come on board together to request for that, I think it's not a disaster just to postpone by a month or 1.5 months. That's one. But the thing is, as the election comes close and the election campaigns start and they get vibrant, only thing I'm hoping is that there will be no violence, there will be no aggressive confrontations among the parties. So I think what's important, even among the Gen Z groups and those who are influential at Gen Z, I think it's important for them to realize that it is also their responsibility to create an environment for the election, because doing election is in the interest of every citizen of the country. There are political parties, they have their own interest. I think that's always a reality in any country, and even in our case, there are political forces who think that if they can postpone election, they will benefit. Because right now there is still the heat of the Gen Z protest and the spirit is there, and then the old parties may be punished in the election. So it's natural for those interest groups in the parties to try to. That's why it's important for the Gen Z representatives also to contribute to creating an environment and avoid the extreme rhetorical language in the public.
Every 10 years or so, the country all of a sudden becomes bloodthirsty. The system somewhere goes wrong. And if we look at our recent history for the last 30, 40 years, major changes every 10, 12 years, they do not last longer than that. And the people have to again come to the streets, and we have seen a lot of sacrifices, including those of human life. Why? What is wrong in our system?
No, again, this is a serious question, and this is something I think a lot about. And there may not be one answer. There may be many, but just I would like to share one or two thoughts quickly that I think maybe one is in the last 20, 30 years, the whole world is connected, and it's a cliche to say it's like a global village, and with internet and everything, so Nepali society has seen everything that is going on in the world. And when they look back and think about their own situation, things should have been better. That's number one. Number two, politically, our political parties, they have been capable to do political campaigns to establish democracy or re-establish democracy when it's snatched. But in terms of governance, they have failed. Failed
to deliver, yeah.
And what is more important here is that because I've worked in Southeast Asia and traveled to other countries, and I compare Nepal with some other countries, not the
most developed, and
not the most developed, just with countries that are comparable, that were like Nepal just 20, 30 years ago. So when I look at their government, the members in the cabinet, the prime minister or the president and the ministers, they know their TOR. In case of Nepal, except for the political rhetorics and the ideologies and the big jargons from a long time ago, I do not see the ministers who know their job technically. So in terms of governance, I think Nepal, where we have really not done well is in terms of public service delivery. Nepal is really lagging behind even compared to the countries which were like Nepal just 20, 30 years ago. So the frustration of Nepali public, especially the youth, for example, when we're having this chat, if you go to any government office where the public have to go, to pay tax, to get a driving license, for land registration, and to pay any kind of government offices. It's just the idea that you have to go frustrates people. And there has not been much improvement at all. And this has not been on the agenda also. So we've always been used to talking about these big political, ideological things and all that. Of course, it's important to have a political clarity and a vision, but in terms of governance, there are those basic things where our political class in the last 20, 30 years have completely failed. And if the old parties, old leadership, if they will come back again, the same thing will perpetuate. So I think in terms of your question, now to summarize, people's frustration is in terms of Nepal not having a sound economic policy and not being assured that we are on a good track, number one. Employment generation, number two. Public service delivery, number three. And the public accountability and the rampant corruption, which is actually related to this weak public
failure of all the things connected by. So there's not one particular factor that we can pinpoint
I think so.
But my question, if I can ask you again, is it the individuals that were wrong or the system that the Constitution has set, the form of governance, that has to be revised?
No, I think the form of government as a format is not a problem.
The federal setup, the number of parliaments, the federal parliaments, and then the proportional system of representation, because for the last, again, the same 30 years period, if we go back, hardly there has been one or two government that had the full majority from the people's mandate. So is it only the individuals who, let's say, bore the brunt of the latest movement as well, or the system that the Constitution has envisaged, it has to be revised?
This is a political question. I'm of course happy to share my view because I've been sharing it in the past also public. That I think the federalism, we should not forget the context where Nepal had to go federal. It was again a result of a political movement. Of course, as a form of governance, whether federalism, the federal structure is good or not, we can debate. And if we look at these nearly 200 countries in the world, there have been all types of governance. That's not, I think, the main issue. What's happened in Nepal in case of federal restructuring is that the Nepali Congress and the UML had to accept the federal structure, but
they had to. Exactly.
They didn't have a political will to implement it.
To accommodate the other force that was coming from a, let's say, warring background.
Exactly. So that is why the political parties and the Nepali civil service, the Kathmandu-based senior officials also were not happy to devolve power. So you have the major political parties who are running the government in Kathmandu from Singhadarbar, and then the senior bureaucrats who are not happy to devolve power. They tried everything not to devolve power in the last several years. So on the one hand, you don't give power, you don't make laws from the parliament to empower the provinces, and on the other, you criticize, the same people criticize that, look, it's been expensive, and no. I think it was a complete dishonesty, betrayal by the big political forces and the civil service, the senior bureaucrats. In terms of the format, of course, I'm not saying that federalism is the only best model. It's one of the models. Since we had to get into that, what the political parties should have done their best was to implement it honestly. They did not. So if we look at how the provinces have been doing in the past few years, not very well. But it's because of the reason I just mentioned. So I think in terms of delivering, but I think just one point quickly is that the local government bodies, because relatively they have better power, they are more empowered, they are doing well. Out of 753, like some are really doing well. There are good examples.
Thriving.
Yeah, thriving. Yeah.
Now, in this discourse, everything that you have been saying that connects to the political parties and the leaders who are the decision makers. Where are the people in this discourse? Were the people asked? Why were the people not, let's say, people's mandate taken when this system was set up? If I ask this question at this point of time, can we maybe discuss on this one, or this could be an opportunity to ask the people on this system?
No, this is a sad story. Your question itself has an answer in a way. So this is a sad story.
Probably somewhere my bias is coming out.
No,
here,
this is a sad story in terms of how the political parties have failed to represent, have not been able to represent the public.
They have failed to be the representative chosen by the people.
Exactly. So when you have elections and they're elected, yes, technically they represent people, but no, but it's the elections. You know how the political party base is the on the top. You have a set of leaders who have captured, the party's power, and then how they get elected is by re-electing the same people who are loyal to them at the local level. So. And then, for people to choose, it's either this party or that, but basically there is no difference. I think one important point here, and which may be encouraging, is that in the last election, we saw Rashtriya Swatantra Party.
Exactly. The alternative political forces.
It has had its own issue, but at least as a party, it came to challenge the old and the old parties. Oh, if we continue like this, maybe we'll be ousted soon. I think that message. And Balensa, although he was an independent person to win the mayor, but he defeated the powerful candidates of Nepali Congress and UML, which was a big message. Which was a message. It was not about one individual winning the mayor of Kathmandu. It was about how the old political parties have failed to deliver. So it was a message for all across the nation. And then in the now upcoming elections, and I hope they will take place in time or soon, that I am sure there will be some new political parties. Again,
yes.
New forces.
Since we are in the democracy, there must be a multi-party democracy.
So I think there is this challenge that the old parties, you guys are not doing well, and this cannot go on like this. So the message is there in the society, and the Gen Z protest was the most vocal, the most powerful message for the same. But the question is whether the new ones will be big enough to form a government or to lead the government or to make a real impact, or they will just be a fringe, like Rashtriya Swatantra Party. Okay, they participated in the government, but they kind of became part of the old system, gradually in those 3 years. So again, we'll have one or two other new parties with 20 seats, 30 seats or 40 seats. Again, they join the government in coalition with the same old parties, and they just become like the old, which will be tragic, which I hope won't be the case. So there is a challenge, but it's not enough.
We move on to the parties, political parties, as you said. Mr. Savkota, if I have to ask you, how do you see the political forces against whom the popular mandate was in the protest correcting themselves, or as we have always been let's say our memory very short-lived, so are we going to forget all these things and again the country will take the same old course?
Again, this is a very important question. First, you have two sections in your question. Against whom? I think it was against all those that have been there for many years. But just it was in favor of hope, something new. So what is going around should change. So it was not in favor of anyone. It was against almost everyone. That's how I read. But in terms of your second part of the question, that whether there is something to hope, or again it will be lost, in transition, and then in another 5-10 years, another movement of protest. That's something I think one is something I think a lot about. But I think we have a really good space to hope at the moment. The old party, when I say old, especially the Nepali Congress and the UML and the Maoist, they have now merged and formed another party, Nepali Communist Party. Let's say those three. Even for Rasopa, the relatively new one, I think they're all second up. Look, we thought we were so important, but if you look at the message on the street and talk to the Gen Zs at home or relatives, then we're not respected by the society. We've lost faith. We do not represent them. We win elections, but we do not represent them. We win elections, but we are not legitimate in the eyes of the people. That message, I think it has shaken up, the party's base, internal base. So I see that, the desperateness that they are undergoing, which is very good. They deserve that, okay, that desperate feeling.
I immediately want to ask you this question again as you are saying this. The recent 11th Congress of CPN-UML, did you see that, what you said? They were desperate, as you said. Yeah. Did you see that desperation in this UML to change itself or do the course correction?
Yeah, you caught me in the right spot. And I saw them desperate to defend that they were still right. And they were desperate not to acknowledge, not to recognize the Gen Z protest. So, but I think the message was still loud. If you look at their body language, they are desperate. But they are trying their best not to show that they are desperate, that we're still relevant. That's what they're trying to convey. But I think the message is written large. The
writing is on the wall now.
It's on the wall now. I think people are not just going to believe in what the rhetoric.
Same old rhetoric, same old promises, unfulfilled promises. Delivery always the same, and plight of human resource always carries on. Now, is the burden of expectation too heavy to the interim government led by Susila?
Yes, too heavy. So also unrealistic. Actually, politically, I'm a defender of this government. Nothing individual, nothing personal, but as a citizen, I have defended this government from day one.
But how long?
Yeah. No. Okay. They have a finite mandate to conduct elections, and also to form the commission which they have formed, and the commission is working. They have an 1 month extension now. I think they're doing well in terms of their work. So, but for the public, there was such a massive Gen Z protest, and the deaths, and then the violence, and then when you have a new government and new election, is this all? Was the whole thing just for this? So there is this innocent expectation from the public, from youth, and from everyone. So I respect that expectation, but that's not realistic. Because this government, one is they were not elected to come to this government with a political vision and all that. It was an accident of history, and in that heat of the moment, Susila Karki happened to be the prime minister. Not that she was prepared to be a prime minister. And the other cabinet members, they were just picked up, like people who had certain credibility in the society were picked up. So the cabinet members' mandate comes through the mandate of Susila Karki. Susila Karki's mandate comes through the whole situation, that evolved. Now, there is, to your question, there is a lot of burden to this government, but I think they should have a really fine balance in terms of doing something against corruption, empowering the institutions that are already there, the commissions that are there, and then, but at the same time, not lose focus on their core mandate of going for the election.
Mr. Savkota, this brings me to another question. On one side, we have the desperate, let's say, youths who want change, immediate delivery. Everything should be changed, overnight change, expectation. On the other side, we have the seasoned campaigners of democracy who know the tricks and trades of polling, election, and then parliaments and everything. And on the threshold is a retired Chief Justice.
Yeah.
How do you think she is going to, let's say, give this country a solution in this condition?
Yeah, no, she has had a really challenging job as Prime Minister. So on the one hand, you have the political parties who are questioning her legitimacy. On the other, she has to deliver on her mandate. So it's a challenge. So I think she was chosen to be the Prime Minister based on the right instincts she had, and her integrity, and her identity as an anti-corruption crusader, even when she was a judge or Chief Justice and after she retired. So it's the integrity. So that is her only strength, that integrity. So I think, and of course, the president has full trust in her, although the president is constitutional. And in the political parties, there are sensible people who know that it is important to empower her for their own interest, and to keep the country on track, and to not let the constitution derail further. So I think, of course, as Prime Minister, it is her responsibility, but I would like to emphasize that it is also the responsibility of the political parties and the Gen Z representatives to empower this government, not to question. Of course, this government is interim and its mandate is finite and narrow. It doesn't mean that they can do, bad things. If they like appoint people which are bad, or if they just do things which is not in their mandate, there should be question. I'm not saying that this government, we should not question anything at all. But my point is, when they're doing well for the mandate, to deliver the mandate, it is everybody's responsibility to also empower this government, not to question.
So you mean to say that let's give this government a chance, and as you said, within the constitution, the only amicable way out at this point of time is the election. And even if the election, let's say, the date, let's say we revise the date, given that everybody comes on board, that is acceptable to you. Am I right if I say that?
Yeah, you are right. So what I said is, in terms of the postponement of the date, if something is really impractical, if they need a few weeks, say a month, for like logistic reasons, the election commission needs, and the political parties, oh no, because of whatever reason, if they all come on board and request the government, so it should come through the political parties. The government should not decide to postpone, but the political parties, if they request collectively, it's not a disaster to postpone for a month. I mean, that's my point.
So how hopeful are you about the future of this country, given all these things that we have discussed in the show so far? At the earliest.
Yeah, it sounds like a cliche. I'm very cautious when I get optimistic. What I'm optimistic is about, I would like to talk about the first day of Gen Z protest. The youth who say, okay, it's too much and we're not just going to stay silent. And they committed themselves to intervene and take the country back in their hand. Look, this country belongs to me as much as it belongs to KP Oli, Sherbadu Deva, Pushpa Kamal Dal. That was the message of Gen Z protest. This country belongs to me. It doesn't belong to those who say they did a lot of sacrifice in the past and then went to the prison and did this political movement or that movement. Okay, if you did that, that's okay. But currently, this country belongs to every citizen equally. So the Gen Z protest, the spirit was to take back the country in the hand of where it should belong. So I think that spirit, it is evidence that if the same old style of governance will come back after the election, that's not going to sustain. I think that message is established clearly. That is where I see hope.
Overhauling the parties and also the system, let's say bureaucracy, for example. Would you only blame the political parties and the corrupt leaders for this mismanagement of the country, or do you think even our bureaucracy somewhere needs to be reassembled, reshaped, or at least made aware of these things?
It's both. Again, the first responsibility lies with the political parties. Say you have a prime minister who lets his minister take commissions because they need money for the parties. They say the money that goes to the party is for the country. That's how they've been, understanding. So everything starts at the political level, the political vision, and the honesty and the will, and also a program to improve or up-to-date the bureaucracy. What I'm trying to say is that the first responsibility is with the political parties, but there is a serious problem in Nepal's bureaucracy, civil service. In terms of public, even right from the time they recruit people and the public service delivery, the competence, there is a serious problem. But the point is, it should start politically. And, it's the parliament which has to make laws.
So if there is the willpower among the political parties and basically the leaders of those parties, things will automatically improve. That's what you mean to say?
Yeah, it will be gradual, but things will definitely improve. Now, let's talk about why there is...
Does that apply to our interim prime minister right now?
Even for the given period they have, yes, it does. The thing is, for example, okay, you have a road and the road is not constructed well, then it doesn't last long, right? It's because, okay, there is commission. So who are the people working there? It's the bureaucrats, it's the technocrats, engineers, and the people like civil service members. But then the problem starts from the political level, from where, how the contracts are awarded and all that. So it's all mixed. But the bureaucrats, they are not just going to say that like we are corrupt and we're incompetent and we're part of the system, we'll change. No, they will not say that. Who should do that? The politics. So in the election, I would at least like to see that in the coming election, that some political parties at least have a clear vision in terms of how to improve Nepal's civil service. Look, everybody knows the problem. Everyone knows there is corruption. And in which public offices, what kind of, it's a public knowledge. But in terms of how to control, there is no program. And the political parties, they don't come up with that. So at least because of Gen Z protest again, I think in the upcoming election, some political parties will have this as a prominent agenda.
In the next 3 years, where exactly do you see this Gen Z movement? Will there be a rise of another alternative force in this country?
I think what I can say from in my reading, what I can say with confidence is that the whoever will be elected and will come to lead the government will be constantly watched by the youth, by the society.
The earlier indifferent youth are now no more indifferent.
Yes. Some of these, like those who were active in the recent months, may be busy elsewhere, but there will be new ones. So the message is clearly established that every citizen will be watching for accountability, and it's not going to just go on as it did in the past.
Is there a risk of this Gen Z that is pretty loose and unorganized disintegrating in this political, let's say, quagmire? I'd love to say this, because it's a mess for their level of understanding.
That's true. And again, like they were like spontaneous, individuals and small groups of people who are known as Gen Z, right? Those representative faces that we see. Some of them are really sensitive, and then I think they are also empowering others around them. So it doesn't have to be the same individuals who will be always there, constantly watching and questioning, if something goes wrong, but also defending when things are going right. So my point is, okay, the new election and whoever will be elected, and then, the way the citizenry will watch the performance of that government, of the parliament, the incompetent previous parliaments, and what kind of people will come, how they will perform. I think everything will be watched much more closely, and they will
scrutinized.
So I think in terms of accountability, I think we'll get to a different, better level. I think that will be one outcome of the Gen Z protest.
My last question to you, Mr. Safkota. Instill hope in general public like me that this country will be transformed into an oasis in the next 5 years or 10 years, please.
No, I think we have a wonderful opportunity to get into that path of transformation, and the Gen Zs have laid that path. And the active intervention of the youth shows that Nepali society is vibrant. The status quo cannot just continue for long. So I think where I find hope, where I feel optimistic, is that our society is vibrant. It doesn't tolerate the status quo. Okay, that's why the message. Whoever gets the message, they will improve, reform. If not, there will always be new alternatives that will come up. So I hope in the coming election that we'll see a new parliament, where there are new faces, more young people, and new parties, and even from the old parties, there will be new leadership. I think from there, again, we should not expect that again in 5 years or 10 years, like Nepal will be like a rich, prosperous country and everything. At least if we're on a right track, if there is national confidence, and the youth of this country feel that they have future in this country, I think that would be something I would feel good about. And I think we have a good reason to believe that this is possible.
Thank you so much for your time, thought, and sharing with us at NTV World Declassified. Thank you so much, Mr. Safkota.
Thank you. Yeah, lovely talking with you.
We just tried to declassify Nepali political discourse at this point of time. Lot of questions, So much of uncertainty, but still a lot of hope, according to a seasoned political analyst, Mr. Vishnu Sapkota. Thank you so much for being part of this episode of Declassified. Until next time, from me, Devendra Subedi, goodbye.
Nepal is a country well known for the world's highest peak, Mount Everest, and the birthplace of Lord Buddha, the pioneer of peace. This is a country equally graced by the beauty of natural scenery and cultural riches. Unity in diversity, immense tolerance, and confluence of coexistence, Nepal is a country of its own uniqueness. Lord Buddha, the pioneer of non-violence, tolerance, and peace, was born on the full moon day in Lumbini in 623 BC. Peace, compassion, mercy, tolerance, and salvation are the perennial paths of Buddhism that lead or have been leading mankind to complete freedom and welfare of all humankind. Lord Buddha taught the world to engage more on spiritual contemplation following those paths. Buddhism has indeed become a new way to most sought peace and prosperity. Thus, Lumbini has been growing into a sacred destination not only for Buddhists, but also for peace lovers and spiritual practitioners. The life story and its supporting remnants related to the childhood life of Prince Siddhartha Gautam can still be seen and heard in Kapilvastu. The sacred historical bits and pieces attached to King Suddhodana, the father of Lord Buddha, which are of archaeological significance, will speak of Kapilvastu as an open museum. The remnant of eastern gate of the compound of King Suddhodana's palace was the main gate to the premises. You can witness here the entrance gates in all four directions, and indeed countless remains lying on your left and right, and back and front, bearing historical significance. In ancient time, the area was even known as Kapilvastu as today it is, but later the place was also called Tilalakot. According to Buddhist books and literature, Devdaha in Rupandehi district was homeland of Lord Buddha's maternal uncle and father-in-law as well. The bricks used to build homes are still lying plenty scattered there, and to your wonder, some bricks even weigh 12 kilograms. There is another place called Kudan, which is within the district headquarters of Taulihawa. And legend has that here, King Suddhodhan encountered his son Siddhartha for the first time after the latter was enlightened to Buddha. This place was also called Nigrodhara, which is now surrounded by the remnants where Buddha's stepmother, Gautami Prajapati, handed monk's dress over to Lord Buddha. Likewise, Ram Gram in Nawalparasi district is the place where a stupa of Lord Buddha's cool bone was built after his parinirvana demise. Excavation is still undergoing in this place. Kapilvastu, Lumbini, Ram Gram and Devdaha are therefore indelible places highly attached to the life of Lord Buddha. Kapilvastu was the kingdom of Sakya, Lord Buddha's clan, whereas Ram Gram and Devdaha were of Koliyas. And the two states were bordered by Rohini River, some 27 kilometers east. To Kapilvastu was Lumbini, which was at that time densely cocooned by sal and ashok trees and was popularly known as Sacred Garden. Buddhist tales say once when Buddha's mother Mayadevi was journeying to her parental home, Mayadevi, she experienced delivery symptoms. Gripping a branch of a tree, she gave birth to Prince Siddhartha. According to some old Buddhist literature, the birth of Prince Siddhartha bore several symptoms and well indicated that the newborn baby was not a common birth, but a birth of a dignified, spiritual, and an incarnate. Legend has that the newborn baby walked 7 steps far immediately after it was off mother's womb. Moreover, the new baby uttered the following revelations: I would be the first among the mortals to go beyond passing through this worldly web. This is my last birth. Rebirth never happens with me again. Prince Siddhartha lived an affluent life of 29 years at Kapilvastu Palace. But when he tried to penetrate and see close to the eternal truth of life, then he started contemplating on life. Why does a man become old? Why does he suffer from different diseases? Why does he die? These were the pertinent questions that haunted him most. Driven by divine spirit to find ultimate truth, he decided to renounce royal life. One night, he left his family, friends, and palace to seek salvation and eternal truth. Roaming several days, he reached Bodh Gaya of India, and there under a peepal tree, he had gone for meditation and became Buddha. He gave his first religious preaching in Sarnath in Varanasi, India. He talked about eternal truth, human duty, peace, and the path of salvation there, and earned a number of followers. Buddha underwent parinirvana, death, at the age of 80 in Kushinagar. Addressing his followers just before his parinirvana, Lord Buddha said, "My devotees will visit and throng around the places where I took birth, where I was enlightened, where I first delivered my preaching, and where I got parinirvana." So, Lumbini, saturated by Lord Buddha's peace-loaded messages for over ages, has been the most sacred religious sites for many, if not only for Buddhists. Today, the Buddhists and the followers of Buddhism and peace lovers of the world over visit Lumbini to pay homage to Lord Buddha and feel and get familiar to his brainchild, peace. King Ashoka, a staunch supporter of Buddha, visited Lumbini in 249 BC and built a pillar quite near to Buddha's nativity site. The Ashoka pillar bears an inscription that says, "Buddha was born here." Lumbini is not only an attractive tourism hub today, but it's also a live state of historical and archaeological significance. To preserve Lumbini, the government of Nepal and Japan Buddhist Association have jointly launched the excavation since 1992. Lumbini had undergone negligence of both government and non-government entities for centuries. Planned and coordinated effort began only in 1953. The United Nations appointed famous Japanese professor and engineer Kenjo Tange to make a master plan for the development of Lumbini. Government of Nepal accepted the proposed master plan in 1978. To develop Lumbini according to the master plan, the government of Nepal established Lumbini Development Fund in 1985. According to the master plan, Lumbini Development Region has been divided into 3 zones. At the meantime, several phases of development have also been adopted. In first zone comes Sacred Garden. Second, Zone of Stupas. And in third comes New Lumbini Village. It is expected that the Sacred Garden will create a kind of aura, ensuring peaceful ambience, natural serenity, and religious sacredness to its visitors, in which they can feel deep Lord Buddha's message of peace and compassion. The very core of Lumbini Garden is the nativity site of Buddha. The plain bas relief of Maya Devi, which is supposed to be about 17 to 1800 years old and depicts the nativity scene, has been put in the newly renovated temple. Near the temple lies Sakya Kund, sacred pond, where Maya Devi was supposed to have taken bath before giving birth to Buddha. Zone of Stupas is another important feature of Lumbini Master Plan, within which territory countries, international associations, and devotees of world over can build stupas of their own in dedication to Lord Buddha. Moreover, the zone of stupas has been divided into 2. In the western part, the followers of Mahayana sect are building their stupas, whereas eastern part is dominated by Theravada sect. This zone of stupas has 41 geographic subdivisions in which various countries, organizations, and devotees have been building chortains, monasteries and stupas respectively. With a view to carry study and research on Buddhism and its inherent philosophy, a cultural studies center has been set up in Lumbini. The study center has museum, library and archives in which you can find Buddhism-related books, literature, arts and other valuable materials. Similarly, Lumbini International Research Center has been set up, which provides materials and other needed support to researchers of other religion, philosophy and culture. There is also a library for those who want to study about peace and religion. Another major attraction of Lumbini is its eternal flame, which is placed in Shanti Kunj Peace Hour. The flame was ignited on the occasion of the International Peace Year in 1985. The flame can be considered as bold symbol to keep Lord Buddha's peace messages alive. Lumbini Village is the exterior part of Lumbini Master Plan, where various facilities of lodging and fooding for the visitors are catered in depending on their capacities. There are a number of cheap and affordable rest houses to moderate ones and luxury hotels laced by all modern amenities. A peace stupa has been built in the northern side of Lumbini. It is the tallest stupa in the area. The story of the greatness of Lord Buddha's birthplace, Lumbini, is not an imagined story of a next world. Lumbini, in fact, is the most sacred place which can emanate peace, friendship, kindness, compassion, and feeling of coexistence to all people of all ages. This is a destination to inward peace, a holy place for enlightenment. Indeed, the sacredness of Lumbini existed in the past too. It is today too, and it will be tomorrow too.
The U.S. has seized an oil tanker that had recently departed from Venezuela, according to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. It is the second time this month that the U.S. has seized an oil-carrying ship off the country's coast. The move comes after U.S. President Donald Trump said on Tuesday that he is ordering a blockade of sanctioned oil tankers entering and leaving Venezuela. Venezuela has condemned the latest U.S. seizure, describing it as a theft and kidnapping. Venezuela has previously accused the U.S. of trying to steal its resources. The operation was led by the U.S. Coast Guard, similar to the operation earlier this month. The ship was boarded by a specialized tactical team and was in international waters when it was taken. The Centuries is a Panamanian-flagged ship, but in the past 5 years it has also sailed under the flags of Greece and Liberia. It is not on the U.S. Treasury's list of sanctioned vessels. In recent weeks, the U.S. has been building up its military presence in the Caribbean Sea and has carried out deadly strikes on alleged Venezuelan drug smuggling boats, killing around 100. Venezuela, which is home to the world's largest proven oil reserves, is highly dependent on revenues from its oil exports to finance its government spending. Venezuela's government decried the move, with Maduro saying the U.S. kidnapped the crew and stole the ship. Australia paused to honour the 15 people killed in a mass shooting at a Jewish festival on Sydney's Bondi Beach, exactly 1 week after gunmen opened fire into crowds during a Hanukkah celebration. A national day of reflection saw Australians light candles, observe a minute's silence at 6:47 p.m. local time, and fly flags at half-mast in a show of unity and mourning. Memorials and vigils held not only in Sydney but also in other cities such as Brisbane, where civic leaders and community members paid tribute to the victims and placed renewed efforts against hate and extremism. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese joined events at Bondi Beach and urged Australians to light candles in their windows as part of the evening's remembrance. Discussions are underway with Jewish community leaders about establishing a permanent memorial at Bondi. The attack on December 14, which authorities have treated as a terrorist act motivated by anti-Semitism, left 15 civilians dead and dozens more injured during the first night of Hanukkah. Police say 2 gunmen opened fire on a crowd of festival goers before one was killed by officers and the other was wounded and later charged with murder and terrorism offenses. Israeli military operations in the eastern parts of the Gaza Strip, including areas near or beyond a demarcation linked to ceasefire arrangements, are involved in the systematic destruction of residential blocks, local sources and monitors say. Explosions from these demolitions can be heard widely across the territory, compounding civilian hardship in an already volatile security and humanitarian context. According to Gaza-based monitors, the Israeli army has extensively used remote-controlled military robots and explosive-laden vehicles to detonate entire residential units, particularly in eastern and northern neighborhoods of Gaza City. These vehicles, often repurposed armored personal carriers loaded with large quantities of explosives and operated from a distance, are detonated to destroy housing and infrastructure. Residents and civil defense officials describe the complete demolition of neighborhoods, with thousands of homes reportedly razed in some sectors. In the southern part of Gaza City's Jaytun area, civil defense sources stated that no buildings remain standing after sustained operations, forcing the majority of the population to flee. The violence persists despite ongoing diplomatic efforts around ceasefire commitments. Recent reports indicate mortar fire by Israeli forces into residential areas, resulting in Palestinian casualties and threatening the stability of truce arrangements. 7 elephants were killed and 1 injured when a Delhi-bound train collided with a herd in northeast India early on Saturday. The incident in the Hosai district of Assam state occurred at a location that is not a designated elephant corridor. The collision caused the locomotive and 5 coaches of the train to derail, but no people were injured. Speeding trains hitting wild elephants is not rare in Assam, which is a home to an estimated 7,000 wild Asiatic elephants, one of the highest concentrations of the elephants in India. Since 2020, at least a dozen elephants have been killed by speeding trains across the state. 20 elephants are killed in train accidents every year on average, according to Indian government's data. While elephants often stray into human habitations this time of year when paddy fields are ready for harvesting. Chinese tech giant ByteDance, parent company of the popular short video app TikTok, has signed binding agreements to divest the app's most assets in the United States and form a joint venture with a group of mostly American investors in a crucial step towards avoiding a U.S. government ban. Under the agreements, ByteDance will retain 19.9% of the business, while U.S. cloud computing giant Oracle, private equity group Silver Lake, and Abu Dhabi-based investment company MGX will each hold 15%. The remaining 30.1% will be held by affiliates of ByteDance's existing investors. The move follows U.S. President Donald Trump's order in September this year to delay the enforcement of a law that would ban TikTok unless it is sold. Although the transaction will not be completed until January 2026, the move enables TikTok, used by more than 170 million Americans, to continue operating in the United States. In April 2024, during former President Joe Biden's administration, the U.S. Congress passed a law to ban TikTok over what it called a national security concerns unless the app was sold. The law was set to go into effect on January the 20th this year, but was pushed back multiple times by Trump, while his administration worked towards a deal to transfer ownership. People across Japan are cleaning their homes and possessions at the end of the year, and in Tochigi Prefecture north of Tokyo, this long-held custom extends to a very long nose. Koumaru-san Horinji Temple in the city of Otawara enshrines a huge wooden mask of a mythical creature known as Tengu. It weighs about 1 ton and towers more than 2 meters high. The nose at 1 meter and 30 centimeters long is not to be sniffed at either. On Friday, Chief Priest Wakamizu Kozun and a group of helpers were seen dusting and polishing the mask. It is said to have been enshrined after the locals attributed a series of fires and thefts to Tengu during the Meiji era beginning in the late 19th century. The mask has since become a centerpiece of the community, designated by local officials as a tangible cultural asset. It is scheduled to be on public display from the night of December 31st until January the 12th. More than 3,500 participants from nearly 30 countries and regions gathered in Beijing for the 2025-26 VEX Robotics Asia Open Signature event, a contest focused on integrated robotic skills such as robotic programming, construction, and control. Held at the Shuanggang Park in the Chinese capital city, the event drew 600 teams across the age groups from kindergarten to university. Separate divisions allowed students of different ages to demonstrate abilities from operating mini robots to designing complex competitive machines. The VEX robotics competition has been hosted across many countries, attracting millions of young people each year. It has become an important platform connecting global youth in science, technology, and innovation. Organizers say the event not only features high-level technological advancement but also new innovations. Lacquer painting, one of Vietnam's most distinctive traditional art forms, is being brought to the public spotlight through the Golden Note, a new exhibition celebrating the craft's cultural and artistic value. Rooted in centuries-old techniques and open to contemporary interpretation, lacquer art continues to play a vital role in Vietnam's fine art scene. The exhibition invites audiences to engage with the creative process behind lacquer painting, from the careful layering of natural materials to the patience required for its completion. By highlighting both tradition and innovation, the Golden Note aims to deepen public appreciation for lacquer as a medium often regarded as the soul of Vietnamese fine art. Organizers hope the event will raise awareness of lacquer painting's lasting beauty and reaffirm its relevance in modern artistic expression. Animals at Whipsnade Zoo in southern England were given Christmas-themed enrichment this week as part of routine animal welfare activities. Zookeepers at the UK's largest zoo provided a range of species with seasonal items including scented crackers and food treats concealed in festive packaging. The enrichment was designed to stimulate natural behavior such as foraging, exploration, and problem-solving. The activities involved several animals across the site, with keepers adapting the items to suit different species' dietary and behavioral needs. Whipsnade Zoo, operated by the Zoological Society of London, regularly introduces enrichment activities to support animal welfare and maintain physical and cognitive health. The Christmas-themed items were part of this ongoing program and coincided with the festive season. Zoo officials say all materials used were safe for the animals and carefully monitored by keepers. A German female engineer has become the first wheelchair user to blast into space, taking a brief ride on a Blue Origin flight. The space company owned by American multi-billionaire Jeff Bezos launched its new Seyfert suborbital mission at 8:15 a.m. from its site in Texas. Michaela Benthaus, an aerospace engineer at European Space Agency, was among the passengers to cross the Kármán line, the internationally recognized boundary of space, during the approximately 10-minute flight. Benthaus had suffered a spinal cord injury after a mountain biking accident and now uses a wheelchair. The small, fully automated rocket took off vertically, and the capsule carrying the tourists then detached in flight before gently descending back to the Texas desert, slowed by parachutes. It was the 16th crewed flight for Blue Origin, which has for years offered space tourism flights using its new Seyfert rocket. The Alpe d'Huez ski resort of France has officially opened its slopes, welcoming skiers and snowboarders back for the winter season. Located in the French Alps, the resort is launching operations as snow conditions allow, offering access to a variety of runs suited to beginners, families, and experienced riders. Resort officials say preparations focus on slope safety, lift maintenance, and guest services to ensure a smooth start to the season. With its mix of alpine and forested terrain, the resort aims to provide a relaxed and accessible mountain experience, particularly appealing to local visitors and families. However, weather conditions and snowfall will continue to guide the progressive opening of additional runs in the coming days. The opening marks the start of the winter season for the resort, as it looks to attract visitors seeking early snow and a welcoming alpine atmosphere.
माघे संक्रान्तिको दिनमा झाँक्रीहरूले ढ्याङ्ग्रो जति ठटायो उति नै ढुङ्गाबाट पानीको धारा आउने सत्यता देख्दा जो कोही पनि अचम्मित हुन्छन्। यसैगरी लामा ओडार साधारा डुप्चेश्वर महादेवबाट 2 किलोमिटरको दूरीमा पर्दछ। प्राकृतिक छट्टाले सुन्दर मनोरम देखिने यस स्थान लामाहरूको लागि अत्यन्त महत्त्वपूर्ण रहेको छ। पर्यटकीय दृष्टिले त यसको सुन्दरता र महत्त्व बडो गजबको पाइन्छ। चौरीको छुर्पी स्थानीयहरूले उत्पादन गर्ने गरेका छन्। हलोको चलन अझै पनि देख्न सकिने सिन्धुपाल्चोक जिल्लाको पहाडको गर्भमा लुकेको अत्यन्त सुन्दर स्थान मध्ये ओख्रेनी एक हो। नेपालका पहाडी कुना कन्दराहरू आफ्नो सुन्दरता यसै गरी लुकाएर बसेका छन्। त्यो सुन्दरता उजागर गर्ने दायित्व तपाईँ हामीको हो। ओख्रेनीबाट 1 घण्टाको उकालो चढेपछि नौलिङ्गेश्वर महादेव पुगिन्छ। जनै पूर्णिमाको दिन यस स्थानमा वर्षेनी भव्य मेला लाग्ने गर्दछ। ग्याल्पो लोसारको दिन यस ठाउँमा शेर्पा समुदायले आफ्नो परम्परा अनुसार नाचगान गर्दछन्। नौलिङ्गेश्वर महादेव छेउमा रहेको प्राकृतिक ढिकी भनेर चिनिने यस स्थान हेर्दा ढुङ्गा खस्न लागेको जस्तो देखिन्छ। हातले पनि हलाउन सकिने यस ढुङ्गा विश्वासै गर्न नसकिने गरी अडिएर बसेको छ। यो प्राकृतिक रूपमा बनेको ढिकीलाई हल्लाएमा मानसिक शान्ति तथा शारीरिक प्रफुल्लता बढ्ने जनविश्वास रहेको छ। हिमालको छेउमा अवस्थित सिन्धुपाल्चोक जिल्लाको उत्तरी भेगमा रहेको अति सुन्दर, आकर्षक, रमणीय र प्राकृतिक सौन्दर्यले भरिभराउ ओख्रेनी गाउँको छानामा रहेको प्राकृतिक ढिकी पर्यटकहरूको पर्खाइमा रहेको
a reflection of biodiversity along with nature and culture.
a view of the silver-like shining mountain range right before your eyes. A chronicle of the rituals and traditions of Kirati people from creation to civilization and the present day. A unique tourist trail in Nepal, filled with natural beauty, the Mundum Trail. Mundum Trail is a uniquely identified trekking route in Nepal filled with natural beauty. The trail is an excellent tourist destination for trekkers who want to enjoy the culture and traditions of various ethnic groups while observing natural beauty. The Mundum Trail was identified as a new trekking route with the aim of promoting tourism in Khotang, Bhojpur, Sangkhwa Sabha and Solukhumbu regions of eastern Nepal. The specialty of the Mundum Trail is trekking while observing the tall mountain ranges, high hills and beautiful views of the flat plains of Tarai. Since it is connected to the culture of the Kirati people, this trail is named after the Mundum rites of Kirat Rais. Various structures reflecting the culture and traditions of the Kirat Rais built around the trail. Large grassy meadows and yaks and sheep herds raised by local herdsmen highlight the speciality of the trek. Dishes reflecting the identity of ethnic groups like Kirat Rai, Sherpa, Tamang and others, local organic food produced by herdsmen, various types of vegetation and precious herbs can be found during the Mundum trek. The trail is a total of 107 kilometers long. Both domestic and international visitors say the rivers originating from Mahabharat mountain range, forests covered in rhododendrons, rare and endangered wildlife and plants, and animal husbandry by hard-working farmers captivates their hearts. The Mundum Trail, where one can trek through the hills with the world's highest peak, Mount Everest, at its head, is a precious gift from nature. It's a trek where one can escape the heat of the Tarai, enjoy natural beauty, reveling in the sweet sounds of birds and connecting with endangered plants, making the experience all unique. As there is heavy snowfall in winter, the number of tourists trekking and playing in the snow along the Mundum Trail witnesses a surge every season. The Mundum Trail is connected to religion, culture, rituals and lifestyle of entire Kirat community. Mundum itself means the Kirat culture, rituals and the daily life of Kirati people or Kirat knowledge. And the concept of Mundum Trail is also about introducing the culture, lifestyle and history of the Kirati people to the world, familiarizing them with the community. The journey along the trail, which spreads through uphills and downhills, offers close-up views of more than 24 beautiful mountain ranges. That includes Nuptse, Everest, Lhotse, Makalu, Kanchenjunga and Kumbhakarna. They all delight every traveler. The Mundum trek starts from Dawa Bhanjang in Diktel, Sakaila rural municipality of Khotang, and Bhojpur Bazar in Bhojpur. Most tourists start their journey on this trail from Chakhewa Bhanjang in Temki rural municipality, Bhojpur. The trek starting from Chakhewa Bhanjang is a gift of biodiversity, culture and nature. The trail is also a tourist area listed among the 100 must-visit destinations selected by the government of Nepal. Temki Dada is an excellent tourist destination near the starting point of the Mundum Trail. It lies on the border of Bhojpur and Khotang. It is located at an altitude of about 3,032 meters above sea level and is a flat plateau on top of a single hill. The history of Temki Dada is also linked to Kirati civilization. Temki Dada is a habitat for various species of trees like jamb, rhododendron and chimal, as well as endangered wildlife such as red panda, ghorol and thar. Various places in Koshi province can be clearly seen from Temke Dada. From here, one can have a panoramic view of dozens of mountain ranges, including the world's highest peak, Mount Everest, Makalu, Kanchenjunga and Gauri Shankar. Apart from that, from Temke Dada, one can watch the sunrise and sunset. And when the weather is clear, one can even see the cities of Sikkim, Darjeeling, Kalimpong, Siliguri in India and cities in Bhutan. The Kirati people perform special worship on full moons of Baisakh. In this area, precious herbs, locally called Chiraito, Majito, Tulo Okhate, Pakhanbed, Nagbeli, Ban Karela, Muse Karela and Satua are found in abundance. Another major attraction of Temke Dada is the rhododendron. During blooming season, the forest in this area becomes vibrant red with fully bloomed flowers. After a hike and exploration of Temke Hill, surrounded by beautiful nature, one reaches Dhotre Deorali in about 6 hours. During the journey to Dhotre, trekkers enjoy nature's embrace, marvel at various rock formations and relish the trek while connecting with the high hills. At Dhotre Deorali, there are arrangements for food and lodging for tourists. Leaving Dhotre and moving forward on the trek, various structures have been built targeting the culture and traditions of Kirati people to attract tourists. The Mundum Trail's construction began with a 35% investment from Koshi provincial government, 35% from Swiss government and 30% from the local government. Along this entire trail, rest stops, drinking water taps and stone platforms have been built for tourists. 15 ponds in the shape of a chindo, which is a traditional Rai vessel reflecting Kirat Rai culture, have also been constructed. This is a place where shamans have walked, a place of tantric power and an extremely scenic area. Mundum is the name of a Kirat scripture. The trail is named after this sacred name. This trail, which integrates various aspects of Kirati civilization, culture, history and life from Silichung to Mayung and then to Temke, and from Temke to Kualung and Tuachung, proceeds along the ridge of Mahabharat mountain range. Another special beauty of the Mundum Trail is Has Pokhari. Located at an altitude of 3,333 meters above sea level, Has Pokhari is a special destination that should not be missed during the trek. At the edge of Has Pokhari, a statue of Sumnima and Paruhang has been erected. According to Kirat Mundum, Sumnima and Paruhang are the creators of this universe. The gentle fragrance of various species of flowers blooming in the grassy meadows captivates every tourist visiting Has Pokhari. The rhododendrons that bloom in season in the Has Pokhari area make one feel like staying in the vicinity of the pond forever. During their journey to Has Pokhari, travelers can observe at least 16 species of rhododendrons that bloom during the spring season. Another important destination of the Mundum Trail is Mayung Dada. Located in Temke Mayung Rural Municipality of Bhojpur, Mayung Dada is a beautiful place with tourism potential. The journey to Mayung Dada, which is at an altitude of about 3,600 meters above sea level, takes place through the middle of a very smooth meadow. During this journey, any tourist with the melodious sound of music wishes to be immersed in the glory of beautiful nature, even if for a short while. The Mayung area is also a special observation point for horses. The attraction of horses roaming freely under the open sky is another unmissable feature of Mayung Dada. The Mayung area, which is connected to the neighboring district of Khotang, has a balanced climate, not as cold as the Himalayas, nor as hot as the Tarai. The Mayung area is also a habitat for the globally endangered red panda. During the Mayung journey, adorned with biodiversity and nature, one can enjoy the rhododendrons that bloom vibrantly across the hillsides in the spring. One can sit on various mystical hills and move forward with the cool breeze, mountain views, and by cherishing the natural beauty in their heart and soul. The blooming chap, rhododendron and sunakhari flowers in the months of Falgun, Chaitra and Baisakh captivate the hearts of tourists. The ever-changing weather and the view of the mountain range right before the eyes can make one feel a heavenly bliss on earth when one steps on Mayung Dada. From Mayung Dada, most of the hilly districts of eastern Nepal, as well as the high hill plains and villages of Nepal and India, look as if they are in the palm of one's hand, making one want to keep watching. When the crimson rays of early morning sun touch the mountains on the other side, the joy of kissing the heights is immeasurable. From Mayung Dada, one can also view more than 24 beautiful Himalayan peaks. This includes Charpate, Mera Peak, Nuptse, Everest, Lhotse, Lhotse Sar, Makalu, Kanchenjunga and Kumbhakarna. Travelers say is less tiring and also does not give one altitude sickness. The trail located in the Mayung region is considered excellent, given the Laliguras trail of the TMJ region or the Tinjure, Milke, Jaljale area and the Khapta trail of the west. On the Mundum trek, after passing through Chakhewa Bhanjang, Mayung Dada has Pokhari, Satobato, Laure Bhir, Rawathap and Salpa Bhanjang. On the fourth day of the journey, one reaches the famous pilgrimage site Salpa Pokhari. Salpa Pokhari is situated at an altitude of 3,400 meters above sea level and is considered by the Kirati people as their ancestral place of origin. Kirati people hold a belief that one must visit Salpa Pokhari at least once in their lifetime. Hence, during Udholi and Ubholi full moons, many pilgrims visit Salpa Pokhari, a place filled with religious faith and natural beauty. Salpa Pokhari, known as the confluence of 4 districts, Khotang, Solukhumbu, Bhojpur and Sankhwa Sabha, is a place of natural beauty. Salpa Pokhari is located in Dobhani village of Salpa Silichung rural municipality in Bhojpur. It can be reached via the Mundum trail, passing through Dikdale in Khotang, Lal Kharka and Mayung Dada. However, there are other routes to reach Salpa Pokhari as well. It is said that Tenzing Norgay Sherpa and Edmund Hillary used the route through Salpa Pokhari during their first ascent of Mount Everest. Salpa Pokhari is also a multi-religious center of faith, as apart from Kiratis, various ethnic groups, including Hindus and Buddhists, hold fairs at this place 4 times a year. There is a religious belief that people who are born unable to speak can start speaking after being dipped in the waters of this pond, and childless couples are blessed with children after visiting Salpa Pokhari. Silichung Dada with Salpa Pokhari as its base camp is an important destination for tourists trekking the Mundum Trail. Tourists who reach Salpa often make a return trip to the summit of Silichung Dada, which stands at an altitude of 4,100 meters. Specially considered a significant center of religious faith for the Kirati people, from the Silichung Peak one can easily view the Himalayan range as well as the flat plains of the Tarai. From Silichung, 6 Himalayan peaks including Everest, Makalu, Kanchenjunga, Kumbhakarna and Mera Peak can be seen right before one's eyes. The Salpa Silichung Peak the highest point in the religiously and touristically significant district of Bhojpur, is established as the tallest among Temke Dada and Mayung Dada. There is a popular belief that wishes are fulfilled after visiting and offering prayers at the peak of Silichung. Silichung Peak is located on the border of Bhojpur and Sankhwa districts. It is useful not only for anchoring one's religious faith, but also for savoring the unique blend of nature and culture. From the peak of Silichung, one can directly see Salpa Pokhari to the south and the villages of Solukhumbu, Sankhwa and Bhojpur. The valley and plains formed by the Arun River, which flows through Bhojpur and Sankhwa can be easily viewed from this area. From Silichung, one can also enjoy panoramic views of the sunrise and sunset. At sunrise, a captivating view of mist in the Arun Valley can be seen from this spot. When the weather is clear, climbing Silichung Peak brings a feeling of heavenly bliss. The Silichung area is as full as it is culturally significant. In recent times, Kirat, Hindu, and Buddhist followers have come to regard Silichung Peak as a common pilgrimage site. A large number of shamans gather here during the full moons of Bhadra, Kartik, and Baisakh. Shamans in particular ascend Silichung to gain power and knowledge. The fragrance of the extremely aromatic bhairung, sunpati, and other fragrant herbs and flowers found around Silichung makes the stay there even more pleasant. There is a Mundum myth that Kirati people gain power from this area, envisioning it as the place where the world was created, starting from the hearth, the main pillar, the main door, the eaves, the flower garden, the resting place, and the final water source, while praying to their ancestors for divine power. Upon reaching this point, the Mundum trek can be considered complete for the time being. The Mundum Trail is an excellent destination for tourists who want to get close to the Himalayas and enjoy their beauty. The hundreds of types of flowers and birds seen during the Mundum trek make the journey even more interesting. The path is completely covered with the national flower rhododendron in various colors. Being a confluence of nature, culture, and Kirati civilization, tourists get to taste a sweet flavor during the Mundum trek. People of all age groups can undertake this trek. On both sides of the trail, the language, religion, rituals, and culture, as well as the lifestyle of 10 different Kirati-speaking Rai groups are vibrant. This region contains descriptions of the Kirati people from their creation to their civilization, their migration, various activities and rituals and traditions from birth to death. During this journey, one can truly feel a spiritual connection with their ancestors and with those who have passed. Locals have added new dimensions of tourism to the Mundum Trail. Along with homestays, one can also experience goat stays, which is staying in a herder's shed during the Mundum trek. Local herders warmly welcome the trekkers. This trail of indigenous civilization has recently emerged in the tourism world as a top cultural destination. Therefore, developing the Mundum Trail, an exceptional confluence of nature and culture, into a model destination, for recreation and study for both domestic and international visitors has become a pressing priority.
हेलो हजुर
नै गर्न पर्ने देखियो अब त्यो एक दिन लाग्छ हिँडेर पठाउन नसकिने अवस्था हो
अब सरको नम्बर टेक्स्ट गरिदिनु
हजुर हजुर
म उहाँसँग कुरा गर्छु है एउटा केस आएको एकदम इमर्जेन्सी सुत्केरी हुन नसकेको
अक्सिजन चाहिने हो होइन के छ म एयरपोर्टमै छु विदिन 10 मिनट्समा रिसिभ गरेर म रेडी भइहाल्छु रेडी कन्डिसनमा बस्ने भनिदिनुहोस् म यहाँबाट म्याक्सिमम 40 मिनटमा म ल्यान्ड गरिहाल्छु
म्याटर्निटी वार्ड र आइसियुमा अलर्ट गर्छु प्रोब्लम लेभल भनेपछि ओटीमा पनि अलर्ट गरेर राख्छु सिएस गर्नुपर्ने हो कि
बागलुङ जिल्ला बुर्तिबाङकी 17 वर्षीय गर्भवती महिलाको हवाई उद्धार गरिएको दृश्य हो यो 2 दिनसम्म सुत्केरी व्यथा लागेको र स्थानीय स्वास्थ्य संस्थामा प्रसूति गराउन नसकेको कारण उनलाई गण्डकी प्रदेश सरकार सामाजिक विकास तथा स्वास्थ्य मन्त्रालयले आपतकालीन हवाई उद्धार गरी पश्चिमाञ्चल क्षेत्रीय अस्पताल पोखरामा थप सेवा प्रदानका लागि ल्याइएको हो असह्य प्रसव पीडाले छटपटिएर मृत्युको नजिक पुगेको दर्दनाक अवस्थामा उनको उद्धार भएको हो
हाम्रो गाउँ धेरै माथि छ अनि हाम्रो गाउँमा यस्तो विकासहरू केही पनि रहेन धेरै कम छ विकासहरू न शिक्षा पनि छैन खाने पानी पनि छैन यातायात सुविधा मात्र छ अनि यातायात सुविधामा नि बाटोहरू यस्तो बिग्रने भड्कने गरेको कारणले गाडी आउन ढिला गर्यो गर त्यस्तै सानो उमेरको गर्भवती 2 जना हुनुहुन्छ उनीहरूलाई नि मलाई जस्तो नपरोस् न मेरो जस्तो बच्चा नहोस् उनीहरूलाई नि यो सुविधा पाउन् उनीहरूले भन्ने
नेपालमा भौगोलिक विकटता गरिबी तथा स्वास्थ्य संस्थामा पहुँचको अभावका कारण समयमा प्रसूति सेवा नपाउँदा हरेक वर्ष लगभग 1400 गर्भवती महिलाहरू तथा नवजात शिशुहरूले अकालमा ज्यान गुमाउने गर्दछन् नेपालमा विशेष गरी प्रसूति कहाँ गराउने भनेर निर्णय गर्न ढिलाइ स्वास्थ्य संस्था पुग्न ढिलाइ तथा स्वास्थ्य संस्था पुगिसकेपछि पनि उपचार पाउन ढिलाइ आदि कारणबाट मातृ मृत्यु हुने गरेको पाइएको छ नेपालको संविधानको धारा 38ले प्रत्येक महिलालाई सुरक्षित मातृत्व र प्रजनन स्वास्थ्य सम्बन्धी हक प्रदान गरेको छ गर्भावस्था एक संवेदनशील अवस्था हो नेपाल सरकारले प्रसूति सेवालाई आकस्मिक स्वास्थ्य सेवा अन्तर्गत वर्गीकरण गरेको छ नेपालमा मातृ तथा बाल मृत्युमा कमी ल्याउने उद्देश्यले आर्थिक वर्ष 2073-74 को नीति तथा कार्यक्रम मार्फत राष्ट्रपति महिला उत्थान कार्यक्रम सञ्चालनमा आएको छ नेपाल सरकारले हवाई उद्धार सम्बन्धी कार्यविधि 2075 पारित गर्यो सोही कार्यविधि बमोजिम राष्ट्रपति महिला उत्थान कार्यक्रम मार्फत दुर्गम हिमाली तथा पहाडी क्षेत्रका ज्यान जोखिममा रहेका गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिलाहरूको हवाई उद्धार हुन थालेको हो जस अन्तर्गत देशभरका जिल्लाहरूमध्ये 19 जिल्लामा पूर्ण र 29 जिल्लामा आंशिक रूपमा निशुल्क हवाई उद्धार कार्य सञ्चालनमा आयो हालसम्म देशभरका 625 जना जोखिममा परेका गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिलाहरूको हेलिकप्टरबाट निशुल्क हवाई उद्धार भइसकेको छ
विगत 2073 देखि स्टार्ट भएको यो सुत्केरी तथा महिला उत्थान कार्यक्रम तर यो 2075 सालतिर आएर चाहिँ हाम्रो यो एमयू अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङ यो महिला तथा बालबालिका मन्त्रालय र नेपाली सेना बीच भएको र त्यसले गर्दाखेरि हाम्रो यो प्रक्रियाहरू चाहिँ एक्सपिडाइट हुने अलिकति प्रभावकारी भएको छ र हाम्रो डाटाले पनि के बताउँछ भन्दाखेरि 75 सालदेखि 76 यता हेर्ने भने हरेक रेस्क्यु चाहिँ डबल नम्बर अफ रेस्क्यु चाहिँ डबल भइरहेको छ 75 सालमा जम्मा 24 वटा आर्मीले गरेका छन् भन्ने 76 सालमा आउँदाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो चाहिँ 80 हुँदै 160 हुँदै यसरी बढ्दो क्रम छ यो चाहिँ हामीले यसो मेरो पर्सनल ओपिनियनमा चाहिँ के लाग्छ भन्दाखेरि हाम्रो यो मन्त्रालय मार्फतबाटको जुन अवेरनेस प्रोग्राम त छँदैछ त्यस बखत जुन हाम्रो यो नेपाली सेनाको हेलिकप्टर चाहिँ गाउँ गाउँमा पुग्दाखेरि चाहिँ मान्छेहरूलाई चाहिँ किन हेलिकप्टर आएछ भन्ने कुराको चासोले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो गाउँ गाउँमा चाहिँ एउटा अवेरनेस हो हेलिकप्टरले चाहिँ नेपाली सेनाको हेलिकप्टरले चाहिँ सुत्केरी महिला रेस्क्यु गरेको छन् भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ त्यो हेलिकप्टरको आवाज र त्यो हेलिकप्टर त्यो गाउँमा घुमेको हिसाबले चाहिँ त्यहाँको स्थानीयहरू पनि अहिले यो सम्बन्धी चाहिँ अवेर हुँदै आएका छन् र यसले चाहिँ एउटा पोजिटिभ मेसेज गएको छ यो हेलिकप्टरले रेस्क्युले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ हजुर मोड अफ अपरेसन नै अलिकति फरक हुन्छ हाम्रो जुन मेन्टल स्टेट हुन्छ सकेसम्म समयमा नै पुगौँ र समयमा नै सुत्केरी महिलाहरूलाई चाहिँ नजिकको हस्पिटलमा पुर्याइदिउँ भन्ने हाम्रो मनसाय रहेको हुन्छ।
सङ्घीय सरकारको उक्त हवाई उद्धार कार्यक्रम सञ्चालनमा आएसँगै गण्डकी प्रदेश सरकारले पनि प्रशासकीय ऐन 2075 को दफा 2 ले दिएको अधिकारको प्रयोग गरी जोखिममा परेका गर्भवती र सुत्केरी महिलाहरूको हवाई उद्धार कार्यविधि 2080 लाई कार्यान्वयनमा ल्याएको छ। सोही कार्यविधि अनुसार हाल गण्डकी प्रदेशमा गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिलाहरूको जटिलता व्यवस्थापन कार्यक्रम अन्तर्गत निशुल्क हवाई उद्धार सेवा सञ्चालनमा आएको छ। ठूलो महत्वाकांक्षा र प्राथमिकताका साथ सञ्चालनमा ल्याइएको यस कार्यक्रम मार्फत हालसम्म 56 जना जोखिममा परेका गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिलाहरूको हवाई उद्धार भइसकेको छ। गण्डकी प्रदेश सरकार सामाजिक विकास तथा स्वास्थ्य मन्त्रालयको टोली छायाङ्कनका निम्ति धवलागिरी गाउँपालिकातर्फ अघि बढेको दृश्य हो यो। टोली जति अघि बढ्दै जान्छ त्यति नै सुन्दर प्राकृतिक छटाहरू देखा पर्दै जान्छन्। अनुपम सौन्दर्य तर जोखिमपूर्ण यात्रा, प्राकृतिक मनमोहक दृश्य अनि दुर्गम बस्तीहरू, यस्तै अद्भुत अनुभूतिहरूसँग रमाउँदै टोली ताकम गाउँ पुग्दछ।
असारे काम हुँदा मात्रै अब छरिने हैन चराउने राम्रोसँग अनि पालिनतिर जानु भएन हैन।
हालसम्म यस धवलागिरी गाउँपालिकाबाट 7 जना जोखिममा परेका गर्भवती महिलाहरूको हवाई उद्धार भइसकेको छ र यस ताकम गाउँबाट मात्रै 3 जना गर्भवती महिलाको हवाई उद्धार गरी आमा र शिशुको ज्यान जोगाउन गण्डकी प्रदेश सरकार सफल भएको छ। यसै महत्वलाई आत्मसात गर्दै धवलागिरी गाउँपालिकाले आफ्ना 7 वटै वडाहरूमा एक-एकवटा हेलिप्याडको निर्माण समेत गरिसकेको छ। टोलीको गन्तव्य भने धवलागिरीको अर्को गाउँ मुदी रहेको थियो। चिसो हुस्सु र कुहिरो छिचोल्दै भीर पाखाको रोमाञ्चक तर जोखिमपूर्ण यात्रा गर्दै टोली साँझको समयमा आफ्नो गन्तव्यमा पुग्दछ। केही थकान त केही उत्साह साथमा लिएर पुगेको टोलीलाई मुदी गाउँका स्थानीयले गरेको सत्कारले थप ऊर्जाशील बनाइदिन्छ। गाउँमा आफ्ना छोरी बुहारीलाई बचाउन मद्दत गर्ने मन्त्रालयका अधिकारीहरूलाई स्वागत गर्न पाउँदा उनीहरूको खुसीको सीमा थिएन। पाहुनाको स्वागतको लागि कोही मकै भुट्नमा व्यस्त देखिन्थे भने कोही सांस्कृतिक कार्यक्रमको आयोजनामा खटिएका थिए। मगर जातिको बाहुल्यता रहेको धौलागिरी हिमालको काखमा रहेको यस मुदी गाउँमा सामान्य खेतीपाती र पशुपालन नै आय आर्जनको प्रमुख स्रोत रहेको छ। यहाँ एउटा स्वास्थ्य चौकी अवस्थित छ। यसै स्वास्थ्य चौकीमा मुदीका गर्भवती महिलाहरूले प्रसुति सेवा प्राप्त गर्दै आएका छन्। प्रसङ्ग 2077 माघ 18 गतेको हो। यहाँकी स्थानीय महिला मीना पुनलाई 2 दिनसम्म प्रसव पीडाले च्याप्दछ। कमजोर भई लगभग बेहोस हुने अवस्थामा पुगेकी उनलाई समयमा नै गण्डकी प्रदेश सरकारले आपतकालीन हवाई उद्धार गरी पश्चिमाञ्चल क्षेत्रीय अस्पताल पोखरामा प्रसूति गराई सकुशल आमा र शिशुलाई घर फर्काइदिन्छ। यिनै मीना पुन र उनको परिवारलाई भेट्न यो टोली मुदी पुगेको हो। हवाई उद्धार गरी जन्मिएकी उनकी छोरी अहिले हिँडडुल गर्ने भइसकेकी छिन्।
रचाइरहेको थिएँ अनि डेट पनि एक खुट्टा पछाडि थियो। अनि त्यस्तै हामी गोदमा बसेँ। सासू ससुरा बुढाबुढी घरमै बस्नुहुन्थ्यो। अनि पेट दुख्नु थाल्यो है बिहान। मलाई त त्यत्तिकै दुख्यो होला भने थाहा भएन। अनि फेरि पछाडि ढाड पनि दुख्ने अगाडि पेट पनि दुख्ने गरेर बेथा लागेको होला भन्ने सोचेँ मैले। बुढालाई चाहिँ भनेन। अनि त्यस्तो गर्दै झन्झन दुख्न लाग्यो। यहाँ हेल्पोसमा बोकेर ल्याए चाहिँ 2 घन्टा मिल्थ्यो तर बोक्नै मिलेन है। यसरी बोक्दा पनि पेट दुख्ने है पछाडि बोक्न ढाड दुख्ने भएर बोक्नै मिलेन। झन् आत्तिन आयो के म त मर्छु मेरो बच्चा नि जन्माउन पाउँदैन जस्तो लाग्यो। अनि हेलिकप्टर बोलाएर सिधै पोखरा लगेर गण्डकी हस्पिटलमा हेलिकप्टरमा चढेपछि बाँचिन्छ भन्ने चाहिँ आश लाग्यो। मेरो बच्चालाई जन्म दिन्छु यो संसार देखाउँछु भन्ने पनि आश लाग्यो। दुःख पाएँ बेसरी। अब यस्तो दुःख कसैलाई पनि नहोस्। यस्तो दुर्गम ठाउँहरूमा नि महिलालाई कति गाह्रो हुन्छ। यसरी उद्धार गरिदिनु भयो। मेरो ज्यान पनि बच्यो बच्चाको ज्यान पनि बच्यो।
धन्यवाद सरकार। मेरो बारीले मेरो नातिनीले बचाइदिनु भयो।
दर्दनाक प्रसव पीडाले छटपटिएर राज्यसँग जीवनका लागि गुहार माग्नुपर्ने त्रासको अझै पनि अन्त्य भएको छैन। त्यसैले मीना पुन झैं जोखिममा परेका अन्य गर्भवती महिलाहरूको निरन्तर सेवामा गण्डकी प्रदेश सरकार अग्रसर देखिएको पाइन्छ। सुत्केरी भएको 45 दिनभित्र कुनै समस्या देखिए नजिकको अस्पताल पुर्याएर निशुल्क उपचार गराउने प्रावधान समेत यस कार्यक्रममा रहेको छ। छोटो समयमा नै गण्डकी प्रदेशको यो हवाई उद्धार कार्यक्रमले दिएको प्रतिफल उदाहरणीय बन्न सकेको छ। नेपालमा जोखिममा परेका गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिलाहरूका निम्ति यो एउटा बाँच्ने विकल्पको प्रमुख माध्यम बनेको छ। यस्ता प्रभावकारी र नवीनतम प्रयासहरू नेपाल लगायत नेपाल जस्ता कम आय भएका अन्य विकास उन्मुख राष्ट्रहरूका निम्ति पनि प्रभावकारी सिद्ध हुन सक्नेछन् भन्ने विश्वास लिन सकिन्छ। तत्काल हवाई उद्धारका लागि मन्त्रालयको हटलाइन टेलिफोन मार्फत प्रत्यक्ष सम्पर्कमा आएका वा स्थानीय स्वास्थ्य संस्थाको सिफारिस पत्रका आधारमा सम्बन्धित जिल्लाको प्रमुख जिल्ला अधिकारीको समन्वयमा सूचना प्राप्त हुनासाथ जोखिममा परेका गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिला र नवजात शिशुको उद्धार गर्ने गरिएको छ।
गुड वेदर भएको बेला नो प्रब्लम, हामी डाइरेक्ट जान सक्छौँ होइन। ब्याड वेदर भएको बेला अलिक घुम्नु पर्ने हुन्छ, एक्स्ट्रा टाइम लाग्छ। त्यो लाग्ने समयमा बिरामीलाई केही होला भन्ने हामीलाई चिन्तित पुर्याउँछ। त्यसले हाम्रो उद्देश्य नै टाइममा बिरामीलाई हस्पिटल ल्याउने र यथाशीघ्र चाहिँ स्वास्थ्य लाभ उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ एसिस्टेन्ट हो डक्टरकोमा पुर्याउँ भन्ने नै हाम्रो इन्टेन्सन हुन्छ। गण्डकी प्रदेश यो स्वास्थ्य मन्त्रालयबाट उहाँहरूसँग मेरो डाइरेक्ट नम्बर छ, सेल नम्बर। उहाँहरूले डाइरेक्ट कल गर्नुहुन्छ। कल आउने बित्तिकै यो सेन्सिटिभ रेस्क्यु फ्लाइट भएकोले चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ इमिडिएटली अरू टुरिस्ट फ्लाइटहरूलाई साइडमा राखेर भए पनि हामीले रेस्क्यु फ्लाइटलाई चाहिँ बेसी प्रिफरेन्स दिन्छौँ। कोअर्डिनेसन चाहिँ उहाँहरूसँग राम्रो हुन्छ हामीसँग।
अस्पतालको भूमिकाको कुरा गर्नुपर्दाखेरि चाहिँ मन्त्रालयबाट चाहिँ यहाँ कन्ट्याक्ट हुन्छ। त्यसमा विशेष गरेर हाम्रो अस्पतालमा इमर्जेन्सी वार्डको इन्चार्ज चाहिँ फोकल पर्सनको रूपमा तोकिनु भएको छ र उहाँहरू मन्त्रालयबाट फोन आउँदाखेरि चाहिँ इमर्जेन्सी वार्डको ल्यान्डलाइन नम्बर छ हाम्रो र इमर्जेन्सी वार्डको इन्चार्जको नम्बर छ। कुनै पनि नम्बरमा चाहिँ उहाँले कन्ट्याक्ट गरेर यस्तो खालके केस चाहिँ एयरलिफ्ट हुँदैछ भनेर इन्फर्मेसन दिनुहुन्छ। त्यसपछि चाहिँ उहाँ जो फोकल पर्सन हुनुहुन्छ उहाँले चाहिँ त्यतिखेर चाहिँ एउटा टिम चाहिँ एक्टिभेट हुन्छ। गाइनेकोलोजिस्ट हुनुहुन्छ, उहाँलाई चाहिँ खबर गर्नुहुन्छ। म्याटर्निटी वार्डको इन्चार्जलाई खबर गर्नुहुन्छ र आइसियू चाहिन सक्छ कि भन्ने अवस्थामा अलर्ट बनाउनको लागि मात्रै भए पनि आइसियूमा बेड छ कि छैन, यस्तो खालके केस चाहिँ एयरलिफ्ट हुँदैछ अनि कसैलाई खाली गर्ने सक्ने खालके अवस्था छ कि छैन भन्नको लागि पनि त्यो खालके माहौल चाहिँ क्रिएट हुन्छ। उहाँहरूले चाहिँ त्यसरी एक्टिभेट हुनुहुन्छ र त्यसपछि चाहिँ उहाँ इमर्जेन्सी वार्डको इन्चार्ज अथवा फोकल पर्सन थ्रु नै हेलिप्याडमा चाहिँ एउटा टिम चाहिँ खटाइन्छ जसले चाहिँ पेसेन्टलाई रिसिभ गर्नुहुन्छ।
सन् 2016 को जनसाङ्ख्यिक तथा स्वास्थ्य सम्बन्धी सर्वेक्षणका अनुसार नेपालमा प्रति 1 लाख गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी मध्ये 239 जनाले ज्यान गुमाउने गरेका थिए। पछिल्लो तथ्याङ्क अनुसार हाल यो संख्या घटेर 151 मा झरेको पाइएको छ। सोही सर्वेक्षण अनुसार यसरी उल्लेख्य संख्यामा महिला मृत्युदर घट्नुका कारणहरूमध्ये गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिलाहरूको जटिलता व्यवस्थापन अन्तर्गतको निशुल्क हवाई उद्धार कार्यक्रम समेतको महत्त्वपूर्ण भूमिका रहेको मान्न सकिन्छ। नेपाल सरकारले सन् 2030 सम्ममा मातृ मृत्युदर प्रति लाख जीवित जन्ममा 70 मा झार्ने लक्ष्य लिएको छ। यस लक्ष्यलाई पूरा गर्नको निमित्त स्थानीय तहमा दक्ष जनशक्ति सहितको पर्याप्त स्रोत साधनयुक्त बर्थिङ सेन्टरको स्थापनाको आवश्यकता देखिन्छ। यस बाहेक हवाई उद्धार कार्यविधि बमोजिम नाइट भिजन सुविधा सहितको निशुल्क एयर एम्बुलेन्स सेवा सञ्चालनमा ल्याउनु, उद्धारका लागि समन्वय र सञ्चार प्रणालीलाई व्यवस्थित र छिटो छरितो बनाई आपतकालीन स्वास्थ्य सेवाको टोलीलाई सतर्क र तयारी अवस्थामा राख्नु पनि त्यत्तिकै जरुरी देखिएको छ। गण्डकी प्रदेशको कुल 85 वटै स्थानीय तहमा कम्तीमा 1 वडा 1 हेलिप्याड भएको खण्डमा जोखिममा परेका गर्भवती तथा सुत्केरी महिलाहरूको जीवन रक्षाको लागि यो निशुल्क हवाई उद्धार कार्यक्रम वरदान साबित हुने कुरामा दुई मत छैन।
Nepal Election Commission to host all-party discussions as political parties prepare inclusive candidate lists. Communications Minister Kharil says Nepal fully engaged in elections amidst conducive environment and Gen Z accord. Miraj Thungana-led Gen Z faction announces nationwide peaceful protest over government's failure during first 100 days. World Meditation Day focuses on inner calm and balanced living. Nepal hosts side event at the UN. South Africa launches manhunt after deadly tavern shooting, leaves 9 dead, 10 injured. And Nepal cricket squad of 24 players selected for training ahead of the ICC T20 World Cup. Good evening, I'm Bijata Bhandari and you're watching NTV World News Hour. Now the news in detail. Political parties in Nepal have just 1 week left to submit their closed list of candidates under the proportional representation system for the upcoming House of Representatives election on March 5. Following minor adjustments, the inclusive representation percentages now reflect the 2021 national census, and parties must submit their lists by January 27 and 28. Over 100 parties applied to take part in the proportional system during the application period. Ahead of the submission deadline, the Election Commission will hold an all-party discussion tomorrow with Prime Minister Sushila Karki and political party representatives to review election preparations, security, management, and legal amendments. Training sessions for party representatives were also conducted earlier this month to ensure compliance with inclusive nomination rules. Communications and Information Technology Minister Jagdish Kharil says the country is fully immersed in the election process with a conducive environment now in place. Speaking at a press conference today, he noted that political parties, the Election Commission, the government and the public are all engaged in electoral process. Minister Kharil also highlighted the government's achievements in controlling corruption and emphasized that it is moving forward in line with the Gen Z movement. He added that there is no reason for political parties to oppose this recent government-Gen Z agreement.
सुशासन कायम गर्ने भ्रष्टाचार नियन्त्रणका सन्दर्भमा कदमहरू चाल्ने सरकारले वातावरण बनाउने यी सबै कुराहरू हामी गर्दै छौं र चुनाव पनि फागुन 21 मा गर्नुपर्ने छ त्यो अगाडि बढ्दै छौं त्यसकारणले जेनजीहरू अरु पनि माग कुराहरू हुँदा सडकमा जानु गर्नु शान्तिपूर्ण माग राख्नु गरिराख्नु यो प्रजा
Following the first 100 days of Nepal's interim government formed after the Gen Z movement, factions within the group are divided. While some support focusing on upcoming elections, the Miraj Thungana-led faction has announced peaceful street protest in Kathmandu, citing unaddressed demands. Thungana says the government has failed to fulfill the movement's objectives of ending corruption and mismanagement, and is calling for an all-party government that can build trust and provide solution to the country's challenges.
हामी शान्तिपूर्ण बाहेक अरु केही गर्ने सोचमा छैनौं यसमा ढुक्काउनुस् हामी हाम्रो आचार संहिता पनि छिट्टै नै रिलिज गर्नेवाला छौं भोलि 11 बजे माइती घरबाट हाम्रो आन्दोलन सुरु हुन्छ शान्तिपूर्ण नै हुन्छ यो शान्ति सुरक्षाको जिम्मा चाहिँ राज्यले लिनुपर्ने हुन्छ आन्दोलनकारीमाथि केही जिम्मा प्रधानमन्त्रीज्यूले
Today, Nepal joins the world in observing United Nations designated World Meditation Day. Marked annually on December 21st, the day highlights the right to physical and mental well-being. In Kathmandu, the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology is hosting events at Sainik Manch Turikil, while a group meditation and interaction program is underway at Brahmanda Saraswati Gram in Dakshin Kali. Stakeholders across the country are holding similar programs to promote mindfulness and meditation. The World Health Organization recognizes meditation, including yoga-based practices, as an effective tool for managing stress and anxiety, supporting mental and physical health, as well as enhancing the overall well-being. Experts encourage incorporating even a few minutes of meditation daily to achieve calm and focus. South African police say a manhunt is underway after a shooting at a tavern left 9 people dead, 7 men and 2 women, and another 10 injured, in a township in a gold mining area near Johannesburg. They say about 12 unidentified gunmen arrived in 2 vehicles in Bekkersdal, opened fire at tavern patrons, and continued to shoot randomly as they fled the scene. The shooting happened on Sunday. The police added that the tavern was licensed. South Africa has one of the highest murder rates in the world. 63 people were killed every day on average between April and September this year, according to the police figures. Earlier this month, at least 11 people, including a child, were shot dead at a hostel near Pretoria. The Cricket Association of Nepal has called up 24 players for a preparatory training camp ahead of the ICC T20 World Cup. The preliminary camp begins this Monday, featuring standout performers from the Nepal Premier League. Key players include veterans Binod Bhandari, Avinash Bohra, and emerging talents Sher Mall, Pratish GC, Ishan Pandey, and Basir Ahmad. The selected squad also features Sandeep Lamithane, Rohit Kumar Paudel, and Sompal Kami, among others. Nepal is set to compete in Group C of the T20 World Cup, marking the country's 3rd appearance in the tournament. After 100 days of Nepal's interim government, Gen Z factions are divided over the administration's performance. More on this in our issue of the day, coming up next. Welcome back. You're watching NTV World News Hour. Following the first 100 days of Nepal's interim government, formed after the Gen Z movement on September 8 and 9, various Gen Z factions look divided. While some support focus on elections as mandated, others dissatisfied with the government's actions are mobilizing street protest. The Miraj Thungana-led faction claims the current administration has failed to uphold the spirit of the Gen Z movement and is demanding the formation of an all-party government capable of building trust and providing solutions. Street in parts of Kathmandu are expected to see peaceful demonstrations as these groups step up their agitation. Today, the Miraj Thungana-led Gen Z group announced a peaceful protest in Kathmandu, citing unaddressed demands and issues. Speaking at a press conference, Thungana presented a 10-point agenda and said that the movement was necessary because the objectives of the original Gen Z campaign, ending corruption, distortions and mismanagement, have not been fulfilled. He also called on the government to build trust among all stakeholders and provide a solution to the country's ongoing challenge.
तथाकथित जेनजी सरकार बनेको झन्डै 3 महिना बित्न लाग्दा यी माग मध्ये के पूरा भयो भनेर औला भाँचेर गर्ने बेला आएको छ। गम्भीर प्रश्न के हो भने यी मध्ये कुन माग पूरा गर्न संविधान संशोधन भयो? त्यो त आवश्यक नै कुरा थियो। राजनीतिक निकास देशलाई पाउनलाई संविधान संशोधन त गर्नै पर्ने थियो, तर के भयो? सेप्टेम्बर 8 तारिखमा के जनताले चाहिँ 84 को चुनाव 82 मा सारौं भनेर नारा लागेका थिएनन्। भनेपछि आन्दोलनको म्यान्डेट के चुनाव मात्र हो त? चुनाव बाहेक केही होइन र? आन्दोलनकारीलाई निर्वाचनको पाठ पढाउनेहरू आफ्नै आन्दोलनको दबावमा सत्तामा पुगेका छन्। यो कुरा सरकारले बिर्सनु भएन। आजसम्म 76 जना साथीहरूले ज्यान गुमाउनु भयो, करिब 500 जना गम्भीर अङ्गभङ्ग हुनुभयो र 2000 भन्दा बढी घाइते हुनुहुन्छ। अब प्रश्न उठ्छ, के यत्रो बलिदानको उपलब्धि निर्वाचन मात्रै हो? नेपालले कहिले निर्वाचन नदेखेको देश हो र? यो आन्दोलन निर्वाचनका लागि मात्र थिएन। हामी शान्तिपूर्ण बाहेक अरू केही गर्ने सोचमा छैनौं। यसमा ढुक्काउनुस्, हामी हाम्रो आचार संहिता पनि छिट्टै नै रिलिज गर्नेवाला छौं। भोलि 11 बजे माइती घरबाट हाम्रो आन्दोलन सुरु हुन्छ। शान्तिपूर्ण नै हुन्छ। यो शान्ति सुरक्षाको जिम्मा चाहिँ राज्यले लिनुपर्ने हुन्छ। आन्दोलनकारीमाथि केही भयो त्यसको जिम्मा प्रधानमन्त्री ज्यू र गृहमन्त्री ज्यूले लिनुपर्ने हुन्छ।
Today, Nepal joins the world in observing World Meditation Day, highlighting mindfulness for health and well-being. More on this in our cover story. Do stay tuned. At the call of the United Nations, World Meditation Day is being observed across the globe, including here in Nepal. The UN General Assembly designated December 21 as World Meditation Day to highlight the right to physical and mental well-being. In Kathmandu, the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology is hosting an event at Sainik Manch, Turikhel, while a group meditation program is underway at Brahmanda Saraswati Gram in Dakshin Kali. Various organizations across the country are also holding programs to promote mindfulness. The World Health Organization emphasizes that meditation, particularly mindfulness practices, can help manage stress and anxiety, improve mental health, and enhance overall well-being. Experts recommend incorporating even a few minutes of meditation daily to achieve calm and focus. Today, Turikhel hosted a special ceremony to mark the second World Meditation Day. Organized by the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, the event featured lectures and guided meditation sessions led by yoga instructors. Education Minister Mahabir Pun highlighted the inclusion of yoga and meditation in school activities and suggested linking these practices with tourism promotion. Health Minister Dr. Sudha Sharma Gautam noted that traditional practices like yoga, Ayurveda and meditation are part of government programs and encouraged collaboration with organizations working in this field. Experts emphasized Nepal's potential as a meditation hub, promoting mental wellness even in wealthy nations. The day is observed under the theme Meditation for Global Peace and Harmony, following the UN's 2022 declaration. Meanwhile, Nepal hosted a special side event at the United Nations headquarters in New York to mark the second World Meditation Day. Titled Awakening the Mind, Pathways to Peace, Health and Harmony, the event was co-hosted by Nepal's UN mission and the Jivan Vigyan Foundation on December 19. Representatives highlighted how meditation and the science of living, or Jivan Vigyan, promote inner peace, emotional well-being, and conscious leadership. The event, attended by UN officials and international delegates, is part of the UN's official observance of World Meditation Day, which Nepal helped establish through a resolution earlier this year. From relentless work schedules and digital overload to family responsibilities and social expectations, individuals today face constant stress. In this environment, meditation has emerged not only as a spiritual luxury, but as a practical and essential tool to strike a balance in life. Sabika Shrestha has the report.
Once viewed as an alternative discipline, meditation is now widely accepted for its role in helping people manage anxiety, burnout, and mental fatigue. Daily practice allows individuals to pause, step back from constant stimulation, and reconnect with their inner calm. By cultivating awareness of thoughts and emotions, meditation helps people respond to challenges with clarity rather than reactivity. Art of Living trainer Rupnaran Shrestha emphasizes meditation's grounding effect on everyday life.
जसरी हामीले डेन्टल हेल्थको लागि सधैँ हामीले ब्रस गर्छौं त्यसरी मेन्टल हेल्थको लागि चाहिँ हामीले रेगुलरली मेडिटेसन चाहिँ गर्न जरुरी छ। तीनवटा प्रिन्सिपल छ भन्नुहुन्छ, आई वान्ट नथिङ, आई डु नथिङ र आई एम नथिङ। जब यो भावमा हामी बस्छौं तब हाम्रो नर्भस सिस्टमबाट नै यसको चाहिँ इम्प्याक्ट गर्न थाल्छ। ठीक छ। जब मैले कति सेसनहरू लिइरहेको हुन्छु बच्चादेखि ठुलाहरूसम्म, उनीहरू फर्स्टमा को माइन्डसेट र जब मेडिटेसन गरिसकेपछिको माइन्डसेट यति धेरै अन्तर हुन्छ कि राइट। त्यही भएर धेरै नै फिजिकली, मेन्टली, इमोसनली र स्पिरिचुअलिटी यो चारवटै पाथमा चाहिँ धेरै नै अन्तर चाहिँ मेडिटेसनले चाहिँ दिन्छ।
The benefits extend beyond personal calm into family and professional spaces. Individuals who meditate regularly often report improved patience, better communication, and healthier relationships at home. In the workplace, meditation enhances concentration, decision-making, and productivity while reducing stress and emotional exhaustion. Schools also noticed visible changes in results after imposing meditation in their academic curriculum.
The person who start doing meditation, the level of their mind, their mindset is different than the normal individual. There were some students who were very weak in study, and after the meditation, I suggest them, I make them sit for a few classes, and then they transform themselves. That proves that it definitely changed something in their academic life as well. They boost their marks, not only marks, their performance differently. They start acting differently, and even few kids, they were like indisciplined kids, became much more disciplined kids.
From mental health perspective, meditation's impact on cognitive performance is visibly notable.
Basically, those who are being affected with mental health conditions, if they do practice meditation every day, this will surely help them in many ways. For example, it will help them to control their impulsive behavior, impulsive act. It will help them to disengage from negative thinking. And one more thing which is very crucial is it will help them to restructuring their cognitive distortion. It is directly influenced by the prefrontal cortex and amygdala, which regulates our mood, mood and emotion. So it is very helpful and essential while practicing and providing counseling and psychotherapy.
As the urbanites grapple with rising mental health concerns, meditation is increasingly being integrated into their daily routines. In a world that rarely slows down, meditation offers a simple yet powerful anchor supporting mental clarity, emotional stability, and a healthier balance between professional and personal life. As the world marks Meditation Day, it has become imperative for one and all to separate a few minutes every day for healthier mind and soul.
In a world full of chaos, it's very necessary to take a pause, and meditation helps us in bringing that stillness. Experts say meditation helps in boosting our calm mind, create balance and nurture our healthy lives. Sabika Shrestha with camera person Rasila Shrestha reporting for NTV World.
Along the same vein, on World Meditation Day, we asked students whether meditation helps enhance their learning and focus. Most respondents said practicing meditation improves concentration, reduces stress, and supports better academic performance. Take a listen to what they had to say.
Certainly, it promotes emotional balance, helping learners to stay calm and focused. It makes learners to stay fresh and very concentrated in their studies and many more things.
Meditation elevates cognitive performance and it helps students to perform better in their academic excellence, and it also improves blood circulation in the mind, and that helps students to enhance their thinking process. And also I guess meditation helps students in learning process effectively.
Indeed, it has sharpened attention span, and which leads to more effective studying, and this is why meditation has helped a lot in studying, and for me also.
It reduces stress and anxiety, making learning easier and way more better than before.
Definitely, it has helped a lot as it enhances learning by improving mental clarity and concentration.
Our brain produces a stress hormone named cortisol, which controls all our memory power, self-control, and so on. From inner self, I feel like my self-control power boost, thinking power boost.
Meditation helps and supports us in better memory retention and recall.
I have lots of focus in my work, and my positive mind, and I am peaceful and more calmful.
Meditation help them to keep their mind calm.
Prime Minister Sushila Karki met with Rashtriya Swatantra Party Chief Rabi Lamichhane at her official residence in Balwatar this evening. Lamichhane, who returned to Kathmandu from Chitwan after his release from jail, discussed upcoming elections for the House of Representatives scheduled for 5th of March, along with other current affairs, according to the Prime Minister's office. Earlier today, Lamichhane urged an end to alleged conspiracies against parliamentary reinstatement and called for substantive reforms beyond building institutions. He had been released from prison after posting bail in a cooperative case following a High Court order. Rashtriya Swatantra Party Chairman Rabi Lamichhane has called for an end to considerations surrounding the reinstatement of Parliament. Lamichhane emphasized that fulfilling the Gen Z movement's contributions requires more than government buildings, saying it demands real change for the country.
मैले आम नागरिक समक्ष पुछ्नै पर्छ, मैले बताउनै पर्छ। त्यसैले यो लडाईमा यहाँहरुले हाम्रो एउटा आह्वानमा जुन साथ दिनुभयो, जुन हौसला दिनुभयो र विशेष गरेर हस्ताक्षर अभियान मार्फत अन्याय परेको कुरालाई अनुमोदन गरी 40 लाख जनताहरुले एकै स्वरमा तपाई एक्लो हुनुहुन्न भनेर मलाई भन्नुभयो। म त्यसका लागि ऋणी रहने छु, आभारी छु।
Lamichhane was recently released on bail in the cooperative case following a High Court order. Prime Minister Sushila Karki has emphasized the importance of preserving Nepal's traditional culture and heritage while gradually ending harmful practices rooted in culture. During a meeting with a delegation from the Tamu Hyola Chonthin Gurung National Council, the Prime Minister praised the Gurung community's traditional attire and said Nepal's indigenous dress and identity should not be forgotten. She also suggested that the government employees could wear traditional attire at least one day a week. The delegation invited the Prime Minister to attend a special Tamu Losar program scheduled for January 15. Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs Minister Anil Kumar Sinha says the government has prioritized 121 bills to be tabled in the federal parliament within the current fiscal year. Speaking at a joint meeting of National Assembly committees in Singadarbar, Minister Sinha said the government is serious about presenting the bills on time based on national policies, budget priorities, periodic plans, and international commitments. He also said rules and guidelines under the Legislative Act 2024 will be prepared and published within a year. Committee members, meanwhile, urged the government not to delay legislation and to strengthen delegated lawmaking.
सम्बन्धित मन्त्रालयले तर्जुमा गर्नुपर्ने विधेयक पहिचान गरी विधेयकको प्राथमिकता क्रम खुलाई कानुन मन्त्रालयमा पठाइएका विधेयकहरू मध्ये सम्बन्धित मन्त्रालयसँगको छलफलका आधारमा आर्थिक वर्ष 82-83 मा संघीय संसद समक्ष पेश गरिने 121 वटा विधेयकहरूको प्राथमिकता निर्धारण गरी सोको सूची मिति 82-3-31 गते संघीय संसदमा पेश समेत गरिसकिएको अवस्था छ.
The number of Nepalis seeking labor approval for foreign employment continues to rise, underlining sustained pressure on the country's job market. The Department of Foreign Employment says more than 339,000 people obtained labor permits in the first 5 months of the current fiscal year, including over 41,000 women. In the previous fiscal year, the figure stood at 839,000, with more than 95,000 women. Nepal currently has labor agreements with 12 countries, while institutional employment is open in 104 countries, and individual workers are traveling to 175 destinations. Most Nepalis head to Gulf countries, Malaysia, Japan, and parts of Europe. Experts cite limited domestic job creation as a key factor behind the trend. The ambassador of China to Nepal, Chon Song, has paid farewell calls on top parliamentary leaders as he concludes his diplomatic tenure. Ambassador Song met Speaker Devraj Khimire at Singadarbar, where they discussed strengthening bilateral ties, economic cooperation, and development partnerships. The speaker praised the ambassador's contributions and reaffirmed Nepal's commitment to the One China principle. Ambassador Song also visited National Assembly Chairman Narayan Prasad Dahal, who called him a true friend of Nepal. Both sides highlighted preparations to celebrate the 70th anniversary of Nepal-China diplomatic relations next year. The ambassador expressed that China places high priority on Nepal and is ready to continue cooperation beyond his tenure. An underpass is being constructed at Mulghat in Thankuta to transport heavy equipment for the under-construction Arun 3 hydropower project in Sangkhwa Sabha. Project officials say the existing bridge over the Tamor River cannot safely carry heavy loads as its maximum capacity is only 70 tons. The project requires around 150 truckloads carrying equipment weighing up to 140 tons each. To address the risk, a 60-meter underpass is being built beneath the Koshi Highway section at Mulghat to ensure safe transportation of heavy machinery. Across Nepal's far western region, the Bhua festival comes alive each push, celebrating the triumph of good over evil with vibrant dances, music, and community gatherings. Originating in the mountainous districts, the festival unites communities while preserving centuries-old cultural traditions. Here's a report.
Across the hills of Nepal's far western region, the Bhua festival or Bhua Parva is celebrated with great enthusiasm. The festival is a joyous reminder of the triumph of good over evil. The streets of Kailali and Kanchanpur, along with the bustling towns of Thangari and Mahendranagar, come alive with the spirit of this age-old tradition. Falling on the lunar new moon day of the Nepali month of Pous, usually in December, the festival continues for nearly a week. The festivities unite communities in pride, joy, and shared cultural identity. While the elderly stress the cultural heritage, strengthens social bonds, promotes harmony within communities, the youths find it amusing to be a part of also.
त्यो एकता पनि हो कवाज खेलाइ हो यो आर्मीको कवाज खेलाइ भनेपछि अनुशासन पनि यानि हुनु एकले ओडो एकले बुढो झाल्न पाइएन भयो तब एकताको लागि धर्मको लागि हाम्रो समाजको लागि ठूलो महत्त्व पुगेको छ यसले भाइचारा सद्भाव बढाउँदछ.
Originating from the mountainous districts of Bajura, Bajhang and Acham, the festival gradually spread to the Tarai plains, carried by families who migrated southward. Men don white robes and turbans, wielding swords and shields as they perform the Bhua dance, energetically reenacting heroic battle scenes with devotion. The rhythmic beat of the Panche Baja, a set of 5 traditional musical instruments, accompany these mesmerizing performances. In every step, every beat, and every cheer, the spirit of courage and tradition is vividly alive. Cultural experts note that the Bhua tradition commemorates the timeless tale of bravery and rightness of the Pandavas over the Kauravas in the epic Mahabharata. Consequently, the festival is primarily observed in areas historically believed to have been visited or marked by the Pandavas. Local residents say such cultural festivities foster unity, collective participation, while both local and provincial governments continue to support initiatives that preserve and promote Nepal's indigenous traditions.
International news coming up next. For now, a quick recap of the headlines. Nepal Election Commission to host all-party discussions as political parties prepare inclusive candidate lists. Communications Minister Kharel says Nepal fully engaged in elections amidst conducive environment and Gen Z Accord. Miraj Thungana-led Gen Z faction announces nationwide peaceful protest over government's failure during first 100 days. World Meditation Day focuses on inner calm and balanced living. Nepal hosts side event at the UN. South Africa launches manhunt after deadly tavern shooting leaves 9 dead and 10 injured. And Nepal cricket squad of 24 players selected for training ahead of the ICC T20 World Cup. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called on all stakeholders in Bangladesh to exercise restraint, reduce tensions, and refrain from violence as the country moves towards parliamentary elections scheduled for February. Condemning the killing of youth protest leader Sharif Osman bin Hadi, the UN chief extended condolences to his family and urged Bangladeshi authorities to carry out a prompt, impartial investigation in line with the international human rights standard. UN spokesperson Stefan Dujarric conveyed the message during a regular briefing at UN headquarters on December 19. The appeal comes amid continuing unrest across the country following Hadi's death, which sparked nationwide protests and a spat of violent incidents. Meanwhile, the interim government has written to Meta seeking action against Facebook content that allegedly incites violence and aims to disrupt the electoral process. Amid the unrest, Bangladesh's two leading newspapers, The Daily Star and Prothom Alo, have resumed print and online operations after temporarily halting services following vandalism and arson attacks on their offices a day earlier. Amid high alert, security has been tightened outside the Bangladesh High Commission in New Delhi. The U.S. has seized an oil tanker that had recently departed from Venezuela, according to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. It is the second time this month that U.S. has seized an oil-carrying ship off the country's coast. The move comes after U.S. President Donald Trump said on Tuesday that he was ordering a blockade of sanctioned oil tankers entering and leaving Venezuela. Venezuela has condemned the latest U.S. seizure, describing it as theft and kidnapping. In recent weeks, the U.S. has been building up its military presence in the Caribbean Sea and has carried out deadly strikes on alleged Venezuelan drug smuggling boats, killing around 100 people. Venezuela has previously accused the U.S. of trying to steal its resources. Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has announced a review into the police and the national intelligence agencies after the Bondi Beach attack in Sydney. The Prime Minister earlier said the intelligence review, due by April 2026, would focus on ensuring authorities were equipped to tackle extremism. The shooting, in which 15 people were killed after two gunmen opened fire at a Jewish festival, has been declared a terrorist incident. Police say the attackers were inspired by Islamic State ideology. A national day of reflection is being held today. A minute's silence was observed at 1847, the time when the attacks began. The Australian government has also announced plans to tighten gun controls, while the New South Wales Premier is pushing to crack down on hate speech. We will be looking into the business news after the break. Do stay tuned.
Nepal government has begun its budget preparation and urged local authorities to propose programs for federal complementary and special grants. However, coordination issues between the central and local governments have disrupted financial transfers, causing delays and misallocation of funds. Local officials have complained that budgets often go to projects other than those they prioritize, while limited resources and duplication of projects further hinder development. The Ministry of Finance acknowledged that misunderstandings over grant criteria contribute to these problems, as local representatives sometimes request budgets based on political priorities rather than legal frameworks. Special grants, complementary grants, conditional grants, and fiscal equalization grants remain key tools for development, but lack of coordination often results in frozen local-level budgets. Chinese tech company ByteDance has signed agreements to sell most of TikTok's US operations and form a joint venture with mostly American investors. Under the deal, ByteDance will retain a 19.9% stake, while Oracle, Silver Lake, and Abu Dhabi-based MGX will each hold 15%, with the remaining 30.1% going to ByteDance's existing investors. The move comes after President Trump delayed enforcement of a U.S. law that would have banned TikTok over national security concerns. The transaction, set to be completed by January 22, 2026, allows the app, used by over 170 million Americans, to continue operating in the country. The sale follows years of U.S. pressure, including legislation passed during the Biden administration aimed at restricting TikTok unless ownership was transferred. Over 3,500 participants from nearly 30 countries gathered in Beijing for the 2025-26 VEX Robotics Asia Open Signature event. The competition, held at Shougang Park in Shijingshan District, featured 600 teams ranging from kindergarten to university students. Divisions allowed participants to showcase skills from operating mini robots to designing advanced competitive machines. The VEX Robotics competition, hosted in multiple countries, attracts millions of young people annually. It has become a key platform for connecting global youth in science, technology, and innovation.
Time now for our sports update. England's baseball project is in tatters as yet another Ashes in Australia was lost in 3 tests. This is the 4th successive Ashes tour in which England have lost the first 3 tests. The tourists were defeated by 82 runs on the 5th day of the 3rd test in Adelaide to go 3-0 down and extend a winless run in this country to 18 matches. Australia were delayed by a 40-minute rain shower, England pair Jamie Smith and Will Jacks, and a hamstring injury to spinner Nathan Lyon. Instead, it has turned into the worst tour in recent times, leaving the futures of captain Ben Stokes, head coach Brendan McCullum, and director of cricket Rob Key in doubt. By the time Australia visit the UK in 2027, it will be 12 years since England's most recent Ashes series win. French superstar Kylian Mbappe equaled Cristiano Ronaldo's record of 59 Real Madrid goals in a calendar year by scoring on Saturday against Sevilla in La Liga. Mbappe, on his 27th birthday, tucked home an 86th-minute penalty to match Ronaldo's club record set in 2013 and send his team 2-0 up at the Santiago Bernabeu. The striker won the European Golden Shoe and La Liga's top scorer award last season and leads the Spanish standings again in the current campaign with 18 strikes. Xabi Alonso, Real Madrid's side, have struggled this season, but Mbappe has been their key player, boasting 29 goals in 24 games across all competitions. Portugal international Ronaldo scored 450 goals in 438 matches for Real Madrid to become their all-time top goal scorer, with Mbappe now on 73 in 83 games. The onset of winter is taking a growing toll on daily life across the Nepal's southern plains. A cold wave accompanied by dense fog has disrupted transport, livelihoods, and basic survival, hitting the poorest communities the hardest. Temperatures across the Tarai have dropped sharply. In districts including Mahottari and much of the central and eastern plains, thick fog has blanketed towns and highways since early morning, with cold winds intensifying the chill. Life has become especially difficult in impoverished settlements. Communities such as the Musahar, Dome and Halkhor, among Nepal's most marginalized groups, have been affected the most. With limited access to firewood or heating, open fires, locally known as khur, remain the only source of warmth for many families. Residents say the lack of basic resources is making it increasingly hard to endure the winter, particularly for those who rely on daily wages to survive. Livestock and winter crops are also at risk, raising concerns about food security and income. In markets across the Tarai, reduced movement has slowed business activity, with traders reporting a noticeable decline in sales. Now the weather details, first from across Nepal and then from around the world. Before we wrap up, let's take a look into the headlines once again. Nepal Election Commission to host all-party discussions as political parties prepare inclusive candidate lists. Communications Minister Kharel says Nepal fully engaged in election amidst conducive environment and Gen Z accord. Miraj Thungana-led Gen Z faction announces nationwide peaceful protest over government's failure during the first 100 days. World Meditation Day focuses on inner calm and balanced living. Nepal hosts side event at the UN. South Africa launches manhunt after deadly tavern shooting leaves 9 dead and 10 injured. And Nepal cricket squad of 24 players selected for training ahead of the ICC T20 World Cup. That is all for now. Do join us via our social media and our official website at nepaltelevision.com. This is Bijata Bhandari. Thank you for joining us. Good night.